Hello, and welcome to Revamped, a rewatch podcast that revisits my top favorite shows and movies. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander, joined by my co-host,
Courtney Autumn.
Venture with us as we set our sights on the infamous Hellmouth to cover 90s cult classic, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Follow along from the beginning, spoiler-free, as Courtney views the show for the first time and I revisit the series for new takes and a fresh perspective on its narrative.
Each season, every episode, in order, we will follow Buffy Summers and her friends to examine their character development, the show's underlying themes, along with its major story arcs, all while engaging in conversations, sharing our own authentic thoughts and feelings to what's unfolding before us.
So sharpen your stakes, load your crossbows, and join us as we explore the supernatural world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let's get into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of Revamped. Today we are going to be covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 3, Episode 2, Dead Man's Party. Aired October 6th, 1998, written by Marty Noxon and directed by James Whitmore Jr. The episode's title being a direct nod to the 1986 Oingo Boingo song. I had to look up this band because the song is called Dead Man's Party. And it's like, if you were to play this over the scenes of them fighting vampires and stuff, or fighting zombies, trying to act like you last week, trying to predict that it was vampires this week. If you were to listen to that song, like zombie attacks and the undead and Giles outside of his car trying to get back in and all this other stuff, it kind of almost fits, but it also makes it seem way goofier than what it would be. I'm gonna have to send you a link to the song so you can listen to 30 seconds of it, because I was like, all right, 30 seconds is enough, click this off. Maybe I'll put a little thing on Instagram with a little edit with everybody doing that. I don't know. We'll see. This episode was funny though. I will say I'm excited to see, just because of the conversation that we had the other day, how it got just between text messaging and then when we talked thereafter, we didn't watch the episode, we all watched another episode after that, and then we're still hopping on this one and joking about it outside.
We had our time to reflect on it through text message, which was good in a way.
The jump was funny. We'll get there. But in this episode, as Buffy tries to reconnect with her friends and adjust to life back in Sunnydale, unresolved conflicts make her return far from smooth. Joyce, unknowingly bringing home a cursed Nigerian mask as decor, sets off a chain of events that begins raising the dead, and during Buffy's welcome home party, personal and supernatural problems arise when the gang is forced to put their issues aside and fight off a house full of the undead. I also wrote in my notes, aka it's the episode where Joyce hosts an open house and accidentally throws a full-on apocalypse party. So I was like, damn, her house gets fucked up. Yes. We didn't even cover talking about that at all. That house is fucked up. It's destroyed. And it's the first time this really happens, because now Buffy can bring her troubles home with her.
That's
you
true.
know, and I'm not trying to spoil anything. This is a breadcrumb, but a big, large chunk of bread, essentially. This is a continuation of stuff that happens. I mean, we saw it kind of actually last. This isn't really the first time it's gotten destroyed. We saw it get kind of fucked up in Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered when the girls were attacking the house, but they were beating down the door and Joyce was stabbing stuff through and the back door got knocked down by Drusilla. So it was just entrance problems, and obviously the glass downstairs I think got broken into the basement. That girl was like, let me touch you, all that stuff. But this one, the zombies are coming through all the windows. Everything's getting ruined in the house. This place is in a disarray whenever we're done. And we're not even talking about from the fucking hoot nanny that went down there. Chock full of hoot, just a lot of nanny, AKA Pat. Before I get off.
Kathy.
Kathy, yes, because you thought her name in your notes was, what'd you say? You thought it was Kathy the whole time. You're like, Pat this, Cat that. Wait, her name's Pat?
At the end I was like, wait, what'd she call her? Pat? I was like, maybe I wrote her name down wrong.
So while we're talking about her, Pat, not Cat, she's our guest star this episode. Nancy Linehan is who plays her. Nobody memorable, and nobody will ever care. We were all happy that Pat dies in the end. All that other stuff happens.
For real.
But for real though, going into it across the span, obviously I got some text messages that we'll spit out over the course of our recording too, but this is one of the episodes that we talked about while you were watching it, which made it different. So I was witnessing some of it, but what did you think of it?
Well, I think I said when we talked that this was obviously like a super fun episode. There wasn't a lot of, I mean, there was some serious context to it, obviously, but that was more in the metaphor, I think, of the meaning behind the episode and not so much the obvious, like what was going on. And it was just messy and fun and all over the place and just lots going on toward the end. Joyce's house is like fucking destroyed now. Add it to the list of things that Buffy's vandalized / burned down.
That was all
She
Joyce's
really
fault.
does fit into the urbex community really well.
Yeah. Well, her house looks like a place that we can urban explore now. What you talking about?
They're gonna have to leave it abandoned now.
Abandoned. Decayed.
But yeah, I like this episode a lot, and I think that for it to be so early on into the season and it still be on such a fun wavelength, and we haven't dove into a random serious tone of things yet, which is good. And I like it. I like that we're easing into the season and it's not so heavy weighted right away. I can tell that you had a lot of fun with this episode too. And honestly, I was impressed because I feel like it's stored in like your mental Rolodex somewhere. Like you can just fish the scenes out of
Yeah.
Because as we're texting, you're like, oh, and then, and I'm like, literally, whoa, what?
It's the automatic cat feeder. It's just feeding the cat. Now they're going to be sitting out there crunching. Yeah, that shit was loud. I knew that was going to go off. I forgot to tell you when we came in here that was going to go off in about 15 minutes.
It was just a simultaneously like cat body flying as the sound happened. So I thought it was her doing it. And I was like, wait, what?
Oh, did you see it? Oh, I didn't even see it. Yeah, they dart for the bowl on the floor. Yeah. No, at least these cats are alive versus the one in this episode, sort of.
Oh. Oh my god, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, anyway, what are your thoughts on this episode?
I think it's funny because you say like, I mean, I wouldn't say you, I can't quote exactly what you said all of 5 seconds ago, but you were like, it wasn't as heavy and all this, and I got my notes. It's heavy when it comes to some of the emotional weight navigation of awkward vibes flowing is like one of my first statements in my notes. It's heavy because of what we deal with as far as obviously coming off, I don't know, this episode, the first 3 really, because going into this episode, I'll like, even though we have Slayer predictions still that I'm like bringing back from us recording last week, so you could actually technically predict at the end of this episode. You've already seen the next episode after this one, and the first 3 episodes specifically really deal with the trauma of last season in a different way. The first one's dealing with Buffy on a solo journey, and then she comes home. This is the direct unfolding of that, and then the next episode we get a little bit more we'll talk about next week, but we get the final conclusion scene with the Giles, Buffy, and Willow.
Yes,
where the talk's finally kind of being had, and this episode's a lot about the preface of that talk and everybody trying to say something without knowing exactly how to navigate this situation, how they want to say it. There's a lot of resentment in the episode. There's a lot of hard feelings for one another. Confusion is a big theme that I would say for the episode, between the like mixed signals, because Willow giving out everything that's mixed in a bag. I know you loved her this episode. You were telling me, you were like, Willow's my favorite, and I just love her so much.
Exactly.
Overall, though, like in that whole context of stuff, it's nice to see now where everyone's head truly is at when it comes to Buffy's return more than anything, and also how it's affected them along with how it has her as well, which we only really get to view from her angle this episode because we feel like we're on the burner with her. Obviously, this is a show about her where we're learning it more so through her eyes, and she's the one basically getting attacked this whole episode. Like no one stops to ask this bitch, hey, are you okay? Actually, what did you go through? And they tried to in the beginning, but Giles is like, well, maybe she doesn't want to talk about that. We'll give her some time, all of that. But regardless, people still have like a little bit to say and they're just not saying it. I also wrote down a lot of anger seems to come through more. And I think a lot of that is on equal parts a result of Buffy's leaving in general, and then also cutting off contact with them, and then them not knowing how to help her when she came back. I noticed for like a couple of people out of the gang, it was just really frustrating more than anything to like get back on track, you know? And everybody always comments on this episode too, just from what I've heard from other podcasts, just like other people that have commented on the episode, just giving their takes and their thoughts on it. It's annoying how we don't really get any resolve in the episode either from the problems that are going down. Obviously, we do get resolve when it comes to the overall battle and everybody comes together to fight, and then everything's swept under the rug after that. But we don't actually see anything going down at all when it comes to the emotional upheaval. The conversations just aren't being had. They say in the heat of a situation, you're not supposed to say anything at all sometimes because things are going to come out the wrong way. They're going to come out too fast, but at least they're coming out and coming up to the surface. They're just not, I don't know. Everybody handles it really kind of weird and awkward. And like, it sucks because most of the people other than Joyce herself, it's all adolescent people as well, dealing with these problems. So they're trying to figure out like how to basically handle things maturely when most of them really cannot. They're also youngins at the end of the day, you know? I have so many thoughts across the episode. I feel like I could jump, but that's like the biggest tackle. Fun things I will say, and I was telling you about this, it was really fun to see Joyce in the thick of an attack, kind of like School Hard, but this time it was at her house, and now she knows about about Buffy being the Slayer and being a hand in that, because she was fighting them zombies off just as much as everybody else. And it's like now she's a good tie-in to the episode versus the supernatural stuff that we got in Ted that was going on, and she was still aloof to everything that was going on with Buffy and her beating up people, and you know what I mean? Because now Buffy's mom knows exactly what's going on. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting to see the new take and how she just basically hops in, because you know that she's got that quote at the end of the episode where she's like, "Is this a normal day at the office, like for you?" type thing. That might not be the direct quote, but she says something along the lines like, "Is this what life is?" You know?
Yeah.
And Buffy's like, basically. We'll get to talk a little bit more in depth when we go through it, but that's just like initial stuff that I always pull from the episode, and obviously watching it more now to analyze it, and also coming off the cusp of listening to a handful of other people talk about this, my eyes got opened up to some of the situations. I never really paid attention. I just saw the heavy grievances in the episode and never really batted an eye at the fact that nobody's like working through it, because I was just ready to like get to the next episode or see everybody be friends again. Or by the end of the episode, like I was immature. I'm immature. I wasn't fully matured. I was a kid watching the show, and even into my teenage years, I related to Buffy and Willow at the end of the thing, where they could just like kind of decompartmentalize the situation, be like, okay, we can just leave that behind us and kind of like restart. You know what I mean? Because nothing seems that serious. We got through the uncomfortability, and now we can like I said, reset, and basically they handle it the best way they can. But that's not the most healthy way to have done it, you know?
Yeah, but I think it's normal for us as like young adults even to continue to sweep things under the rug until we realize that's like not the healthiest way. You know, that usually creates all the tension we're feeling in this episode, which is their resentment toward Buffy, toward each other. Hers is growing toward them because no one's asking about her well-being or what she went through or any of that, and then no one's really discussing the problems at large that they have with her individually. So it's kind of like you said, the maturity level isn't there really at this point in their life. And like you're saying, from a viewer standpoint back then, probably even being younger than they were in these episodes, you're probably thinking about it totally differently than you would now as an adult, you know, whereas we can see like how to solve these problems easily.
Or just communicate, like talk things out. Of course, we're not getting interrupted by like the undead crashing in, but even afterwards, it never gets revisited. You know what I mean? Everybody's just like, oh yeah, right before this all started, we were in the heat of a battle, and now all of a sudden it's out, it's dissipated, and we're not going to revisit this in that way. The next episode starts and it's all back to normal. So I don't know.
Air quotes.
It just leaves us like with unanswered stuff and like questions for what happens behind the scenes, like what's going on.
Will this ever get addressed?
No, most times not. Anyways, but well, I guess all that being said, we can technically go into the episode now. Get a little previously on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy tells her mom in Becoming Part 2 that she's a vampire slayer, and when Joyce can't stop her from leaving to save the world, it results in a threat of not returning home, aka being kicked out. Snyder expels Buffy from Sunnydale High, and Buffy sends re-ensouled Angel to hell, causing the start of her emotional trauma. The gang wonders if Buffy will return and where she is while we follow her to LA, where she fends for herself. Meanwhile, Joyce confronts and blames Giles for what's happened with her daughter, and at the end of the episode, Buffy returns home to Sunnydale and her mother. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Into every generation, there's not a prologue. Me at the beginning of every single episode for the
You got to do it.
No, I'm not. For just the first few episodes of the season, because I'm missing it, you know? Even though I haven't heard it since Go Fish. Go who? We open in Buffy's room as she unpacks her bags and settles back into her life before heading to Joyce's room, where she's hanging wall decor to speak with her. Spooking her in that process, Joyce slams that hammer into the wall and busts a hole in it. And that's one of the funniest fucking images that I will never forget in this life. It's the funniest thing ever. I was so happy that there was a hammer emoji whenever we were talking about it, so I could send it. I was like, Just because I remember when I was writing on my notes, I bust out laughing. Like, I forgot it was coming, even though I knew it was coming. I've seen this episode 7,000 times, but it hits every single time, quite like the hammer in the wall. But like, she just thankfully has that mask and covers up the hole with it. She's just like, I'll worry about this later. But what's she gonna do now that at the end of the episode that the mask is off the wall? Is she gonna hang like a nice little picture up there? She gonna get somebody over to fix her drywall? Is she gonna try to do it herself?
Yeah, she's
Who
probably
knows?
gonna head.
She chalks obviously that up to being that she got used to the quiet vibes that were flowing when Buffy was absent, and she's showing Buffy a scary ass looking Nigerian travel mask as well, and that's what she hangs on the wall we were just talking about. And she's like telling her that all this stuff came from the gallery, and I was like, you stole this stuff from the gallery? She's like, we got an exciting new shipment in, so you brought it home? Like, aren't you supposed to display that at your work, or do you just have too much of it and they don't care if you bring like this stuff? Obviously probably costs money as well, right?
100%.
Like, it's a gallery. That's like me working at a fucking art gallery and Van Gogh's piece is tore in and I bring it home to like hang in my home for a couple months while I'm waiting the next exhibit to come around or something. Like, that's like millions of dollars.
People are like, where did that go?
I'm pretty sure this isn't protocol, but this is also Sunnydale, so who knows? I want to go to the gallery one day. We never do, I will say. Like, it sucks that we never see that venue site. She also says that this mask is going to cheer up the room and all her decor. And Buffy clarifies really quickly.
It's angry at the room. Mom, it wants the room to suffer.
She's not wrong.
She has no appreciation for primitive art. Joyce wonders if Buffy's going out since she's got a light jacket in hand. Buffy telling her if it's okay, she would like to find Willow and Xander. Joyce asking,
will you be slaying? Only if they give me lip.
Tony and them on All Bronze No Brains page, he created this little clip edit where Buffy's voice syncs up like with this other dude that's like, yes, honey, boo boo, child, like kind of thing. I'll have to text it to you because that's not a spoiler anymore. So that it's just so funny. Like, Tony is hilarious for these little edits he makes. And Buffy thinks that she doesn't want her just going out because her mom's like, you want me to drive you? You want me to do this, that? Are you hungry? And she's like, bitch, you done fed me like 4 courses of snacks after dinner. Like, Joyce is like, I was just stoned, so I didn't really know. I was just, that's my normal routine now since you've been
Joyce
gone.
is like, I forgot.
I've been eating all the fucking food in the house. Joyce does extend that that's not the case, and she just wants to put everything behind them and get back to normal, telling Buffy that she can go have a good time with her friends, which we find at Buffy later walking outside what looks to be, I guess, outside the Bronze, because it kind of looks like those little back alleys that would lead to it. And we start hearing some sketchy sounds moving towards them, finding a man walking down an alley, this trench-coated, ominous figure chilling. She comes up behind him and makes a noise on a can, aka crushes the fuck out of it with her Slayer foot. And it's Xander who spins around to her wielding a stake, thinking that it's an attacker, which she quickly grabs it from his hand. And she's like basically holding it the way he was holding it within a flash of 2 seconds. So if this hadn't been, anything other than Buffy, like a vampire, Xander would have also still been dead because Buffy would have taken him out. Vampire would have taken him out. What is he really doing out here by himself? Even though everybody else is around the corner peeping,
But still.
I don't know where they were. They were waiting for the alert call on the walkie-talkie.
They were making Xander the bait this time.
Yes, exactly. Basically, they both obviously realize one another too. I love how you texted me and you were like, I already love how Buffy and Xander cross paths for the first time since her return. You're like, It was appropriate.
Yeah. First, I wrote in my notes, like, of course, Buffy can't go anywhere at night alone, so I don't even know what the fuck she's thinking. But secondly, it's gonna happen. And of course, I'm thinking the worst before Xander turns around. And when it's Xander, I'm like, well, that seems really appropriate because what would either of them be doing out in the middle of the night right now? And here they are. So of course they cross paths.
I think it's funny. I'm just now thinking about it right now as we're talking about it, but the energy that Xander immediately channels right here, where he it starts to play a little bit of that sentimental, sad, kind of sappy music slightly, or just like a little tone shift. And he's like, God, Buff. And like, he looks mesmerized by the fact that she's back. You could feel like a nice, strong, positive emotion. Like, where was that at the end of this episode when he's like grilling her in front of everybody? Like,
that's what I'm saying. He like jumped on their bandwagon or something because his initial like emotional reaction of a reflex was not
the same. I thought he was going to be like really happy, just really excited and happy that she was going to be back, which they all kind of are. But at the same time, this starts to unfold, everybody being like, well, we don't know how to handle this.
I think it's like that thing where like I don't know. I imagine it's the equivalent to if you have a kid and they're staying out past curfew and they're like really fucking late and they're like 3 hours late and you're worried and you're sweating and you're kind of pissed, but then like you start really getting panicky, but then they come home and you're like, oh, thank God. So you're relieved. But then
And then you want to kill
afterwards,
them.
you're like, okay, but you're grounded and you're never going anywhere ever again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're glad they're okay and they're back and you can kind of have that sense of relief, but now you want to be pissed off because they're okay. You know what I mean? So it's like it doesn't take away the resentment, unfortunately, for Buffy, but it just like prolongs how long we are to like deal with it head on, I guess. And I guess that's the premise of the whole episode. Like you were saying, it's like all hidden in the metaphor of it, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Buffy sarcasms to him.
Didn't anyone ever warn you about playing with pointy sticks? It's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye.
You shouldn't sneak up on people like that. Jeez, Buff.
He is stunned with her return, but the sentimental moment is interrupted when a vampire bursts, as usual, as per usual, the French version, because he was fancy with it. Just kidding. From a boarded wall, attacking the two, Buffy knocks it back as we overhear on Xander's walkie-talkie, "Come in, Nighthawk, everything okay?" What the fuck? But like, one of these motherfuckers got walkie-talkies to communicate with each other. Why are they me with my cousins when I was 12 years old running around the backyard, like hiding behind trees, like, "Come in, you clear, can you hear me?" And you're like, "Yes, I'm 5 feet away from you." Or like you be inside, like, it would have been cool to be living like next door to your best friend back in the day and have walkie-talkies so you could talk to each other, because we didn't have cell phones,
Yeah.
You're supposed to be in bed and you're like up talking in the middle of the night. Anyways, about the episode. The vamp continues to attack them, Buffy taking him on as he's getting the advantage, jacking her up against a fence, about to bite her when Willow, Cordy, and Oz come running up, pulling it off her and taking it on themselves. Buffy, amazed yet stunned, watches, but the vamp tosses Oz and Willow to the side and Cordy toward Buffy, who comes face to face with her, realizing it's Buffy. "Hi, Buffy." I love that moment. She's like, what the fuck? Like, of course it's Cordelia, so nonchalant about it. Buffy tosses her to the side with the other Scoobies on the ground and stakes the vampire, giving us our first Buffy 2K per slay of season 3. And the gang look up at her as Buffy awkwardly says hey to them. So funny that they're out here trying to do the damn thing. When they go to run up and they pull the vampire off of Buffy, clearly they're not recognizing it's Buffy. They just think it's like Xander found a girl getting attacked or something, and they're not even paying attention. That's why like Cordelia's "Hi, Buffy" is just so like, what? And then everybody else is just mesmerized. They're like, oh shit. But we fade to black and we cue the Buffy theme. Outside of Giles' home, Buffy is hesitant about them going inside and revealing that she's back to him just in case he's mad. I really like what Xander said. He's like,
Mad? Just because you ran away and abandoned your post and your friends and your mom and made him lay awake every night and warn about you? Maybe we should wait out here.
I love it because Xander's not helping Buffy and knocks on the door and is very surprised whenever Giles answers. The two just stare at each other in silence, taking this in. And then Xander comes around with his next round of bullshit. And he's talking about like, not even really bullshit, but he goes,
check it out. The watch is back on the clock. And just when you were thinking career change, maybe becoming a looker or a seer. Thank you, Xander.
Yeah,
it's funny how he breaks the awkward tension at the door because Buffy's got nerves about seeing Giles, and he's like, maybe we should wait outside, because he starts to second guess, being like, oh no, it's fine, I'm sure. And he's like, wait a minute, no, actually we might not want to be around at all. But then he comes back in with the like almost insightfulness of making the moment feel better, because even Giles is, I wouldn't say super serious, but he says, thank you, Xander, whenever Xander makes this statement. And then he's like, welcome back, Buffy, and invites her inside. Inside Giles' home, we find Buffy and the gang sitting on the couch exchanging pleasantries, and unanswered and uninterrupted by a screaming tea kettle too, because that thing starts to send my fucking ears into shock. I'm just gonna say that whistle of a teapot when you've got a tea kettle that actually like makes a sound. I can't at all. Like, I just need the water to be boiling and me see some steam. That's it. We're also learning from Oz that Buffy's not wanted for murder anymore in this dialogue that they're exchanging between them. And in the kitchen, Giles is obviously preparing tea for everyone, and they're continuing on their banter, and he has that moment to himself where you can just see he's really happy she's back, because he hears them in there talking, and he feels like that connectedness, like they're all back together, they're in there chilling, and he can also hear her talking to them. So I feel like he feels a lot of relief. It's like he has to take a moment here because he is by himself in the kitchen after searching for all that time. And I think because of the fact that he took all those like flights on his expense to find her, he chokes down his feelings in this moment because he like has to pause. It looks like he might start to cry or just be overwhelmed by the flood of emotions. And I'm assuming that's probably where you texted me at that point and you were like, why is Giles the sweetest? Yeah.
He just looked really sweet, like he was overcome with emotion and like obviously a huge sense of relief just to have Buffy back. But yeah, like you're saying, I'm sure it didn't come without mixed emotions for everybody.
Most definitely.
But at least Giles's response, I will say, was visually the sweetest, like the onset of her return. So
yeah,
I was just like, I love that little moment where and no one can see him too. You know, they're like
Exactly.
all there and they're all like doing their thing and they're all talking to each other and he's just off in the kitchen making tea or whatever. And he just has that sweet little moment by himself. And I was like, oh, Giles.
I know. I just want to see him grab Buffy and hug her whenever they were out the door, but obviously that didn't happen. And
yeah,
all that stuff. I mean, they're actually at his house, not like he's at the school trying to hug up on Buffy and everybody's like, wow, that librarian hugging that 17-year-old girl, you know?
I know, right?
But it is a really smooth moment. I did write my notes too that was great acting on Anthony's part, just because Anthony Stewart Head just nails that. The question keeps coming up where Buffy was, but she keeps being a bit avoidant to speak on it. Giles helping her, telling them that let's focus on adjusting back to regular life before grilling her, and she agrees. Xander offering that they can keep up the slaying for her while she does, because they got the whole system down, except the outfits, because Cordy thinks that they suck. Naturally. The little cute lines they always give Cordelia is about like that. Willow chiming in that they were doing good, dusting 9 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Whatever, we were kicking a little undead booty.
They're still killing some vampires. Like 6 out of 10 is not bad. If they came across 10 vampires, like I want to know what technically happened to the other 4. Is like, but that 7th one, right? The one that Buffy killed, and technically there's still 3 vampires out there they've interacted with that they haven't quite gotten yet.
Maybe.
I don't know, but these vampires are probably sitting in their crypts or their houses or abandos or wherever they're hanging out at, their factories, their mansions that are abandoned, you know, all the things. And they're laughing, be like, can you believe like that bullshit kids that we saw in the fucking thing tonight trying to fight us and all this shit, like, you know, trying to act like the Slayer, like dumb. Buffy tells them that she just wants to get back to normal in her routine, including school and fun with her friends, who both seem to want to blow her off because, you know, she's like, what are you doing tomorrow? And then Xander's, I think he hugs onto Cordelia and he's like, oh, I've got plans. And then she tries to get Willow to go out with her too. And Willow's hesitant at first. And then basically she has to guilt Willow into agreeing with her to hang out. She's like, friends don't let friends browse alone, or all that, whatever quote she says. This is the first scene that we can visibly notice Willow's discomfort. And it's very clear that she doesn't know how to handle or act around Buffy, because y'all all are super excited for her to get back. Last episode, the way she was talking in the graveyard, or just across the episode, oh, Xander, past tense, all that shit went out the window as soon as Buffy actually came back. And Willow was like, I've forgotten all the positive vibes that I had flowing, and now it's just the negative. She's like, I wasn't spending enough time with Joyce, so this is how life is. But I'm like, why act uncomfortable? Why not just go hang out with her and see if it's uncomfortable when you're hanging out, and then deal with it if it does arise? You know what I mean? If that's your best friend, act like that's your friend, even if it's uncomfortable. And like, even if y'all cause a fight, maybe y'all won't talk for 2 days, but then maybe y'all will call each other and be like, whatever about it in 2 days, because y'all blown off the seam and at least you got the wound open, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like Willow. But it's our first round of that. We're going to get a lot on this. I'm going to end up getting heated. I already felt my voice and my heart starting to palpitate. Buffy also speaks with Giles about how her mom is making an appointment with Snyder's ugliness to get her back into school, knowing that Joyce can break him. And we get our first round of cutscene transition magic to Snyder's office, where he's stating, absolutely not, this bitch is not coming back to school. She's like, I know my mom can break him. And he's like, but not.
No, he's adamant.
Fucking Snyder. He's such a fucking douchebag.
I can't stand him. I still don't understand, and I'm sure maybe it'll come into context later, but this personal vendetta he has against Buffy is almost so cringy that it's inappropriate. You know, because he's so fixated on one person. I'm like, you got a whole fucking school full of students and you are so worried about one damn bitch. Like, what is wrong with you?
Only one person out the student body is apparently a troublemaker, though. Even though Willow, Xander, and Cordelia,
no way. You're in high school.
Technically, Giles all follow up underneath Buffy, and they always leaving the school in the middle of the day and going off on adventures and all this other stuff. He's still talking about Buffy all the time.
Except for Willow, because she can't stand the thought of skipping school, apparently, or even like leaving campus.
Willow's the only one actually attending the damn classes that they're supposed to be in. Everybody actually is
usually
in class. I'm like,
she's probably going to after school for no reason.
For no reason, just so she can have lesson plans.
She's going to summer school for no reason, just because she wants.
She went for Oz. That's why he didn't get the credit.
I was about to say. I had to say the same thing.
Well, him and Joyce continue to argue about the right to keeping her out of school being a thing or not. His pleasure aside over the fact that Buffy was cleared of charges, he deems her still a troublemaker and a bad student, and Buffy is fed up with Snyder and gathers her mom to leave. Joyce snarking at Snyder that this isn't over. If she has to, she'll go all the way to the mayor. And Snyder smirks to himself and he voices,
Wouldn't that be interesting?
and I'm like, I hope you choke on that mint, because he pops a mint into his mouth. He's like, all like, it's good acting and it's a good use of a prop in the scene too. But it goes with it, and it just shows his carelessness. Like, I'm just gonna pop this candy in my mouth because I don't give a fuck. But also, we get another little cue of the mayor here as well. The next stop is Joyce downtown on Main Street, dropping Buffy off to meet Willow as they discuss the possibility of private school or homeschooling, saying that they'll figure it out. After leaving, Buffy waits for a duration of time for Willow that never shows up to hang out with her. Bull fucking shit. I know I be telling you all the time whenever you try to come and see me and you're like, all right, mate, I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'm like, oh man, I can't hang out anymore. Like, at least I did that. You know what I mean? We would still hang out. It was a joke every time. And eventually it got old, but yet we both still continue to do it. AKA still.
Now it's just principle.
At the same time, how do you like not text somebody and say, hey, I'm not going to hang out? Willow,
well,
what are you doing?
Here's my only thing that I have to like conclude is that because Willow doesn't know how to communicate, obviously, and we saw her level of awkwardness just like rise and build, just standing next to Buffy having a regular ass conversation. I feel like it was her way of almost initiating some sort of
drama.
In a way, it's almost like, oh, I'm gonna make it super clear that this is out of character, so she knows that I'm actually really mad, and then she has to come to the table and be like, hey, what are you mad about? You know, because Willow can't just be forthright, I guess, or she just hasn't like mustered up the courage to look at her best friend, like you were saying, and be like, hey, so actually I have a big problem with you just like literally leaving town for months at a time and then coming back and expecting us to be super duper cool with it.
I mean, seriously, though. But at the same time, even when Buffy finally does notice all this tension between her and Willow, she tries to say something later, which obviously we'll get into more. And I'm all acting in the beginning of this episode while we're walking through it. Like, I don't have, like, hardcore notes later about all of this stuff.
No, and I know.
A loof right now.
But I definitely, like, try to hop in that moment, because I would expect Xander to stand her up, or literally Cordelia to forget, you know? Like,
Cordelia is the first one that never would have made the plan.
Yeah,
like,
Buffy would know well enough to not show up herself in advance. You know what I'm saying?
I'm surprised Buffy's there, just because her mom took her.
Exactly. Joyce needed to clear the house. She had to sell some weed. But I don't know. That's the only thing I took from it, because I thought that was so weird for, like, out of anyone out of the friend group, for Willow to be the one to stand her up and not even, like, make any kind of notion to be like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it or whatever, which would be very Willow, because we know Willow and she's so calculated and prompt and like almost anal to a degree, where it's like, you know that you are going to expect a call from her or some sort of communication if a plan changes. So it's like, for the one friend in the group to be the most like organized and planned out, to not call someone and be like, hey, I'm not going to make it, and just straight stand you up, I would take that as a huge hint. I'd be like, oh, this bitch ain't fucking around now.
Nope. For real though. Shit. I'm honestly not surprised, but at the same time, like, you make some valid points. Buffy eventually heads back home because fuck Willow, meeting Joyce's friend out front, leaving as she arrives back, who introduces herself as Pat. P-A-T, Pat. Not Pathy, not Kathy. Pat. Patricia. Which I'm sure that Pat is short for Patricia. Patty. At least her name wasn't Patty. I'd rather it be Pat, but Pat's almost more annoying.
Yeah. Either way.
Pat's from book club. And I have to ask you again now, what was your first impression of Pat whenever you saw her, besides misconstruing what her name was?
Well, if anyone who says as a compliment, well, aren't you just a picture? I'm like, what the fuck? First off, what kind of picture are we looking at? Because we could be looking at an ugly picture. You're not really being specific.
Yeah, that's Pat's way. She's like, I'm going to be passive aggressive and like.
Literally, her name should be pat-ssive aggressive.
Passive aggressive. Oh my god, why is this episode crazy already? We're like 12 minutes in.
Done.
Fucking done.
Anyway, But yeah.
So funny. I'm just saying that I have a whole lot of like stuff later. I got you. Hold on.
Every time we say
going.
Pat, you know.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking about. I love it.
Passive aggressive over here. Yeah, I just didn't like her energy from the start, and it's weird because obviously she was trying to portray like a very nice, friendly, welcoming lady, but immediately I got this really passive aggressive vibe, and I was like, ooh, I don't know. I was like, she gonna have bugs crawling out of her in a minute, like she's the villain, you know, like that one dude that showed up with a briefcase, the bug man.
Yeah. So you thought maybe she was like our villain for the episode, because our canon thing, if there's a new person in the show, typically it's probably this episode's monster of the week or something like that. So you were thinking maybe Pat was the problem, when technically she wasn't. She ended up being, but you know, she wasn't initially the overall issue.
Yeah, no, she was just kind of like a fixture there in the episode to make you confused, I think, and I was.
Yeah. I think it's funny because that bitch is way too chipper, so you just know something ain't right. Like what you said, like all the comments that she's making and talking. She's like, I'm off the book club. We're making empanadas tonight, or whatever she said. It wasn't the book club, but like she was on the way to it, something else. But clearly she's got all these organized events that she attends and like manages and does like work with. And you know, everyone at all of them hate her. Like,
yes,
you know,
like,
without saying
Karen. Yeah.
But without her being caring, she's probably not a bitch, but she also is probably a bitch because they're like, did she really just say that? You know what I mean? Like,
did she really just call me a picture?
What kind of picture that? We're talking about a Van Gogh because Joyce will steal it. Her personality and stuff. Obviously, we all dislike her. We're meant to dislike her because of the energy that she brings, and we don't want somebody so chipper around and saying the things that she's saying. So, I mean, I think everybody's first impression is like, I hate this bitch immediately. Whether it's like, I think she's the monster, or like there's something wrong with her when it comes to the supernatural vibes. I didn't never really read into the supernatural any take that I've ever watched it, especially my first times. I always was just like, I don't like her. She's just way too nice. I ain't trying to have that. And then she's also not nice. It's the mean nice. It's like Mean Girls. She's Regina George, but it's Pat George. I don't know.
Yeah, no, she really is. Like when Regina George is like, oh my God, I love that bracelet. And she's like, that's the ugliest fucking bracelet I've ever seen. The girl walks away. That's Pat.
Oh my God, a whole 4-minute conversation about damn Pat. I didn't expect. Well, Pat passive aggressively saying she helped Joyce a lot while Buffy was off and away. And I hate the way she said it. She's like, off and away and what have you. Like, she sounds like that bitch in Beetlejuice that's like saying all the passive aggressive stuff outside of the house. Where she's like, this house should really be for somebody with kids. And then like, she's like, oh, but I knew that you can't have kids and you've been having problems, but I'm going to say this anyways. You know, it's like, it's basically like that. And she's also talking about how she can imagine Joyce was a wreck. And she's off to make empanadas in Spanish Club. I'm so happy I put Spanish Club in here because I was like, it wasn't book club. What was it? I had it in here. And she tells Buffy to go be with her Joyce because those two, and this is where I really hate her. She puts her fist up. She's like, you two really need to rebond. Ew, no, go away. Go make your empanadas. See you later.
Yeah.
Inside, Buffy confirms that she's now met Pat, and Joyce confirms Willow called saying that she got held up. Buffy, a bit bummed, Joyce offers a thought, one that she's already executed, by the way, that she had in inviting the gang over, including Giles, for dinner the next night. Buffy doesn't seem too pleased, but fakes it till she makes it, and Joyce asks her to go downstairs to grab the company plates. And I'm like, company plates? Like, we had all those in a china cabinet, not in a box downstairs with a dead cat on it, but you know. And I love Buffy's comment. She's like, Mom, the gang are regular plate people. Mm-hmm. And she's like, humor me, dear. And she's like, okay. And then obviously she goes downstairs and goes to retrieve those. And before she finds the dead cat, she pulls out that picture, and we get another little sentimental moment where she's like, oh, I missed the way things were, because we pull out that picture that I told you when Inca Mummy Girl was going to come up a lot. It's the three of them, like Buffy sitting down and they're behind her, and it's very sunny outside. It's very happy. It's very, there's not vampires in the town that are killing all of us, you know that. And it's the second time we see this picture. And obviously she admires it and has a whole moment when she's obviously, like I said, being reminiscent over those easier times with her friends versus the tension and stuff that she's feeling right now. Also, she just got abandoned by Willow, 2 hours ago. So now she's like, fuck my life. She goes to grab that plate box when a dead cat falls onto the floor, skeezing her the fuck out. We clip immediately outside, burying the dead cat as Buffy digs a hole, commenting,
next time I get to pick the mother-daughter bonding activity.
Joyce offering better send-off words than thanks for stopping by and dying to wishing goodbye to the stray cat that lost its way and hoping that it finds it. I always love that quote. I like the reinforcement and positivity, obviously, that Joyce has versus Buffy's like bullshit that she's always saying. She's like, thanks for stopping by and dying. Joyce is like, actually, we should put this cat to rest. Like, I want Joyce to be at my funeral, not Buffy. Like, I love Buffy, and obviously I want her to be everywhere else with me, but not at my funeral, because she ain't delivering my eulogy. She's gonna be like, he did.
She can come to the funeral. She just can't speak.
Thank you. There you go. That's it. That part. That night, we see Buffy settling into bed, and we just know some bullshit is about to happen, because if it's nighttime, Buffy getting into bed, problems. She continues to feel estranged and disconnected, and we flash over to Joyce sleeping in her room as we pan up to that tribal mask on the wall as the sentimental music starts to fade, and a more eerie, concerning music, which is Christoph Beck's, I think it's called The Mask, score starts to play, and it's like very creepy. It's like wham, 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 and it's like I don't know, very weird. Everybody's like, that's exactly how it sounds. Thank you. I know, awards to me, but like, how fucked up that thing's in Joyce's room. Do you not see that red glow on your face as you're trying to sleep, and you're like, what's coming through my windows? Is it a UFO? Am I seeing the inside of my eyelids because my eyes are so red from being stoned off this edible when I went to bed? Like, you know. I was surprised she didn't get up and be
probably like used to hallucinating a little bit at some point at the end of the day, so she's like, oh, there's that glow.
Oh, perfect. She's been seeing it all day, glowing in the damn house, trying to raise the damn cat, and she's just like, I'm seeing shit, like, I need to get out of this damn room. This mask is given the new phrase, or the phrase, new meaning to eyes as red as the devil's dick. For real.
For real.
But we flash outside, and we see that beneath the bushes where they buried the cat, it rises and climbs out the grave. Pet cemetery up in this bitch. I wrote in my notes, Courtney, what are your thoughts on this moment? And you all had texted me talking about how they not going to smell a full dead cat in the basement. Ain't no way, they must have COVID. Oh, okay, never mind. The cat is not dead anymore, apparently. That was all like in seconds of each other. Like, it was like 30 seconds after you sent me that last text before you sent me the final one talking about, oh wait, the cat's not dead. You're like, what the fuck?
I was, because of course, like, I'm not at this point right away connecting all the things, so I'm just thinking this cat done randomly come back to life, and I'm like, of course, they made Buffy and Joyce their victims and their targets in this matter, all the dead things, so I was confused. But then when I put 2 and 2 together about the mask being the initiator of all the dead things, I was like, okay, well, that makes a lot more sense. And of course, it would be Joyce to bring some shit home from the gallery that raises dead things. As if she didn't have enough bad luck. Like, damn, her daughter done left for months, just came back, and then you're going to bring this mask fresh home from work.
See, this is the problem with stuff in Sunnydale.
But I'm also like, how long has that dead cat been there? How did it get there? What did it die from? Like, I still have so many questions about the cat.
Well, it seems like what we were talking about, actually, now that we're thinking about it, the other day when we were talking about that cat and the bandos that you took a picture of, and we're like, well, maybe it just climbed in there to die. This is essentially this is how that finalizes itself out. Like, that's what that conversation we were having actually means. I'm surprised the whole conversation we were having about that damn cat, we weren't over here thinking about this cat from the episode. You know what I mean? You're like, look, it's that cat from the Buffy episode. But I guess technically you hadn't watched it yet, but we had watched it by the time we were discussing it. I don't fucking know. Shit's crazy. That night, during a dream sequence, we find Buffy walking through an empty Sunnydale High during the day, greeted once again by Dream Angel as she comments on how she thought they'd be here. That sounds confusing, but I guess she's talking about her friends in this moment. That's not really clear. I don't know who she's talking about. And Angel agrees, and he's like, they're waiting for her. And I'm like, okay, but I don't know. I guess maybe she's talking about, like, I guess they'd be waiting on me, or like be here for me. And maybe that's where this dream is coming from, because I didn't really get this dream too much, you know?
I didn't either.
Like, at all. I think it was just a way to sneak Angel in there, since he's like in the budget. Like, they gotta like, exactly. They're like, we gotta do a little scene with Angel. And then she says she's afraid, and he says that she should be, before she walks off to the sound of her alarm the next morning, which is the bell ringing, obviously, in her dream. It's like, nope, no, not time for class. It's time to get the fuck up. Which I don't know. I guess it was because of the like stuff that's going on with her friends and whatnot. I didn't read too much into it, but now I'm sitting here reading it out from my notes, and I'm like, oh yeah, I even forgot this scene was in here. Like, we didn't talk about Angel at all this episode, because I think that's the only time he appears, you know?
Yeah.
Waste of stuff, but I guess it's trying to let us know that Buffy's feeling some type of way, that she's afraid to say things that she like might need to say and stuff like that. So that way, if we didn't get the subtext, we're getting it now. But left me with a little bit more questions in this moment. So whatever. Downstairs, Joyce is telling her about the talks with the superintendent and meetings with him over Buffy rejoining, but also how she found out an all-girls school that she could possibly attend if they can't get her back into nasty little bigoted rodent man school. I love how she calls him that. Buffy is less than pleased with this decision, striking the harsh truth from Joyce about her bad choices and these being the consequences. And that kind of just sucks, though, like the fact that she might have to go to an all-girls school or just be disconnected from her friends. But I'm like, well, you know, that's what they say all the time. Actions, consequences, here they are. So, you know, this is still like the festering point of everything as well, too. So it's kind of funny how, like, right now they're like, these are our consequences. I'm like, ooh, they're going to boil over and hit us in about 20 minutes. So Joyce also ponders the perception of telling Snyder and the police of her Slayer status, thinking the town might be happy to have a sort of a superhero for the town, moving to take the trash out of the back door in this conversation as she opens the door and the dead cat, Winston Churchill, just runs inside hissing at them. And then they're both alarmed, freaking the fuck out. Cutscene transition to Giles arriving moments later with a cage as Buffy welcomes him
To the Hellmouth Petting Zoo.
He retrieves smelly cat, what are they feeding you? He gets her from Joyce's bedroom. I'm assuming it's a her. I don't know. The cat was giving girl vibes. Because, you know, zombie. It's my cat. It's not Giles's cat. It's my cat. Because my cat was named Zombie one time. She's dead now. You want me to get her skull and bring her on cam like the little Ann doll? I'm just kidding. It's in Joyce's bedroom though, and it's hiding under a chair, saying that he will get it back to the library and try to figure out its origin. And then he takes notice, and I know we commented on this, looking at the mask on the wall behind Joyce, and he's like, oh, that's striking and Nigerian. And we're like, yes, exactly. And wanting to avoid art talk, Buffy says that they have work to do, aka research mode. And Giles informs Buffy that she's not allowed on school premises, actually, so she has to stay home with Joyce, because Joyce is all like, she can go with you, it's fine. And he's like, actually she can't, but not. And he's like, I'll call you if, you know, I know what's up, and I'll also see you for dinner this evening. But I thought it was funny because this is obviously the first deterrent, because we get a second one later on when Giles isn't paying attention when he's flipping through the book pages. But he's sitting here talking like this could have sparked conversation. He'd be like, you know, actually this mask looks a little bit familiar to me. And if he had a couple of minutes to talk with Joyce
Really
about where the
dissect
stuff
it.
came from and like actually have the conversation that Buffy was talking about. I told you that this kind of is a sort of callback to whenever him and the zookeeper in the pack were having that conversation, and Buffy was like, you guys, we can't like geek out about books and stuff. But yet if he had continued the conversation, he would have just kept giving the zookeeper more information to like how to depossess the hyenas and get possessed himself, you know, all of that. So like once again, it could have just unfolded the way that it like, I wouldn't say it needed to in that episode, but for this episode, they could have had a whole lot of context going in, and Giles could have been like, actually, I think we should put that back in the box and put it in the basement and burn it and get rid of it and also get it out of Sunnydale, because it was probably sort of inactive in its last origin. You know what I mean? I don't know if it came straight from Nigeria and that's where the shipment came in and Joyce was like, I'm bringing this home. But maybe the Hellmouth is what's causing the activity to actually energize it in a way. You know, I'm just having this epiphany that maybe it wasn't like this last location. I mean, I'm not saying it's like traveling from gallery to gallery, but if it did come straight from Nigeria, maybe it was like brought out of the tomb, like in the Mummy, all those other stuff. And then the mummy's coming back to try to get all his organs and shit because all them people took the cursed items that they weren't supposed to. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if Joyce will ever bring anything home again from work.
No. I don't
Hopefully
think so.
not. Lesson learned.
It makes me really curious what hell was in them boxes that she was trying to unload when Buffy came in there and like witch and like peeled the fucking thing off of the boxes that she was trying to pry open with the crowbar.
It was that, and that mask got mad because it just been sitting in that box for about a year. And Joyce just now put it up, and now it's like, you know what? Fuck you.
This damn mask. Hell, well, we go over to the school. In the library, the gang are assessing the dead cat. Cordelia commenting to Giles.
Nice pet, Giles. Don't you like anything regular? Golf, USA Today, or anything?
Giles states that they're there to find out how it rose from the grave, as Oz is growing very fascinated by it.
Well, I like it. I think you should call it Patches.
Willow reminding the gang of Buffy's dinner that night and how she told Joyce that they would help out. Cordelia, in this moment, reminding us all that she's chips and dips girl because she doesn't cook. And then it's a callback to the surprise because she basically had this whole conversation with Xander, and now she's telling the group and letting them know that she's chips and dips girl. So she's like, don't expect me ever to do anything shopping and carrying girl, like Uber Eats all day and tomorrow kind of vibe. No. And then they also debate on what kind of gathering this is per Oz, not per usual. I wrote my notes. Per usual, per Oz. Per Oz, the French version. Because monkeys, they wear pants, you know? Remember? He brings into the context that this is like a regular gathering, a shindig, or a hootenanny. The difference being the gathering involves brie cheese and mellow music. And I never caught that they were talking about brie cheese, just to say, because he says brie, he doesn't say cheese at first, and then they start talking about how it's stinky, and I finally clicked this time around. They're like, oh, they mean brie cheese. Makes sense. The second is shindig involves the dip, and then the hoot nanny.
Well, it's chock full of hoot, just a little bit of nanny.
They was like giving him some really good lines. He got to actually explain some stuff and have some good dialogue versus like the stuff we usually see from last season Oz. Xander commenting how he doesn't like Bree, and Cordy giving us the hilarity of a quote back. She's like, I know it smells like Giles' cat. And I die laughing here every time because Giles is like, it's not my cat, but he doesn't really get to say the sentence all the way. Xander brings up how at this dinner, what are they supposed to talk about? All the awkward vibes of Flo and how Buffy abandoned them. All the things none of them want to talk about. Willow offering maybe Oz's band can play at the party. Giles tries to deter them of that for a more intimate setting, but they all raise their hands for a night of actual fun versus smelly cheese. And Giles saying, have it their way, but he just wants things to get back to normal. Obviously not paying attention, as I was prefacing earlier, as he flips through the book, and it's right there on the fucking page with the damn tribal mask on it, and it starts playing a little bit of that suspenseful cue-in of music. I was like, here go Giles jinxing them about how they need to get back to normalcy, but yet, like, they're not going to because of, like, what's about to happen.
And I literally wrote in my notes, I was like, Giles, when has it ever been normal? Like, you talking about going back to normal. What do you mean? Y'all need to start at normal. Y'all ain't never seen normal yet.
And who turns book pages while they look in their head another direction? Like, he all turns the page and then turns his head to the side. Like, what did you just look at? No one called your name. Once again, the second time you could have, like, helped defeat this before it happened. I'm going to blame Giles as the problem, not Joyce. Well, at the Summers house that evening, Buffy finished setting the table, all fancied up, and moves to answer the doorbell ringing. I love how, like, they set the whole fucking dining room table up and, like, they don't even use it. Like, damn, company plates for no reason. And now all the company plates are broken after tonight, like, probably because I'm sure the table got smashed.
Hell yeah, you know Buffy probably did all this on purpose just so they could get rid of the company plates.
She's like, everybody's regular plate people now.
She said, Mom, please bring home an African mask.
She finds Pat, though, on the opposite side of that door, coming right in with her passive aggressive comments about Buffy's flights of fancy, informing Joyce, inviting her since they had one more table space. And then she's like, I hope you like empanadas. And I'm like, fuck your empanadas. And then, listen, this is the most cringe moment because she's like, do you want to see my mom? And then she's like, Mom! Her face looks so awkward when she does it too. Like, I just want to know, Sarah Michelle Gellar, what she thought in her head when she did that. Watch the dailies back on her doing that. She's like, that was
in my notes I put LMAO the way Buffy screamed for Joyce when this crazy empanada lady showed up.
Did you say empada? No, I'm just kidding. Empanada. I'm pasta. It's awful. It makes me cringe every time. I'm like, ugh. And then 2 seconds later, Joyce is coming down the stairs and she's like, oh, Pat. It's very like, oh, Ted. Like, whenever she had it, she's like, great shot, Ted. You know, it's given that for me, whatever reason. And then obviously they like kind of like basically make out with each other because they give each other kisses on the cheek whenever she comes in. I'm like, what is happening?
Don't make me start concluding that Joyce is a lesbian too.
Stoner lesbian vibes. The bell rings again, and Devin enters with the band members, asking Buffy where does she want the band to set up, and she's like, band? Cutscene transition magic to the band performing in the fucking living room as a huge party is underway versus a quiet dinner. Hugest fucking party. These neighbors have got to be shitting their pants right now because of how loud it is. Do you think as soon as they arrived and started setting up, Buffy ran next door, they sent Pat across the street and Joyce to the other neighbors, and they were like, hey, just so you know, there's gonna be really loud music for the next few hours. I'm so sorry because this is a residential neighborhood and we're all about to put on a fucking concert.
Obviously in Sunnydale, it's probably like the least of their concerns because they usually have vampires or random shit running the street. So they're probably like, you know what? We'll take it.
If I were Joyce, as soon as they started playing all that stuff, I would have went over to the circuit breaker and cut that shit off like Jamie Lee Curtis does on Freaky Friday.
Oh, not again. Time's up. It's after 6.
Do you remember whenever they're like playing in the garage band? That would have been me. That's fresh on my brain right now because I'm really excited to see Freakier Friday whenever it comes out next week. So ready to see it. Or the week after next. Let's see. Buffy comes in trying to talk to Willow, who is listening to the music, wondering if Buffy likes the party. Buffy commenting on how it's good, but also voicing how she thought it was just going to be them tonight. But Willow can't hear shit she's saying because it's so fucking loud in here. And her again giving the statement, and Willow once again acting like she can't hear her, by the way, too, because this is where like level 1 of my frustration with Willow this evening starts, because the way she's like this, like putting her hand by her. She's like, I'm sorry, I just can't hear you. I just can't hear you. You're right beside my ear shouting in my face, but I can't hear you. Like, Willow, I'm about to bop your ass and you will hear my fist in your fucking throat. Like, I usually over gasping for air, and then you got to go out and get water in the kitchen so we can go in here with Joyce and Pats while they doing shots and we can talk about it in here, I guess. Either way, Buffy goes to try to leave her, but comes back to pull her aside to another room. She's like, okay, I can't let this fester. I feel the energy, the negative vibes, all the things are flowing. And now that she's cornered, she asks Willow, well, it's a little quieter, if everything is okay, that she is noticing some one-on-one avoidance, and Willow is projecting versus the positive vibes this house likes to see. Willow giving an excuse that they're together, aren't they? And they are cool. That's why they're having the party, because, you know, they're glad Buffy's back. And then she's like, well, now that that's cleared up, she goes to move back into the fucking living room and just leaves Buffy there. Like, that's how that whole scene essentially goes down. I'm just like, she's not giving her nothing. She's also being fake as fuck. If your friend, like, she pulls you aside, like, if you're upset with me at that point, you're going to either have to just be a straight up bitch to me versus play this little game you're playing, or you're going to have to just come clean, because this is where level 2 of frustration with Willow starts.
Oh, yeah, no, there's like, no, I'm going to back you in a corner.
This is your chance. But that's what she just did. She batted and jacked her up all the way in the fucking little breezeway that's right there. I don't fucking know. Bullshit's about to go down, though, obviously, because we flash upstairs in Joyce's room where the mask's eyes are starting to glow again, and we cut to elsewhere in town as a dead man on the street who's been hit by a car rises and walks off from it. We cut right back to the house. Buffy walks by and making out Xander and Cordy, who notices her, and he questions what she's doing. And she lies about this wacky fun party, and he's like, I guess a lot of people are glad to have you back. And she's like, I don't know any of these people. Like, I didn't notice anybody. This is the first time we've ever seen the guy that's labeled in the script as Stoner Guy this episode. And I mean, Jonathan's there somewhere. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But like, other than the main core cast, and like Devin in the band for Dingoes At My Baby, I've never seen any of these other people. They're just fucking people that are here getting paid $500 to show up on set to dance around in this house and get killed by zombies in a little bit. Don't get it. But Cordy just continues to make out with fucking Xander's ear, and I'm like, why she's doing this? Like, disgusting. And Buffy also starts to wonder about why Giles is late, and he's like clarifying to her that he was on research mode whenever they left the library, and they're like, he'll be around later. And we get that awkward Nighthawk Cordy turned on by Xander moment that Buffy bails from as well. Cause she's like, I like that Nighthawk thing. Like, you were, God, you had me all wet and shit. Like, I loved it. No. Fucking nasty. Between her, like, just groping on his neck and shit like that. I'm like, can y'all turn your heads and pay attention to Buffy for 2 seconds? Aren't y'all supposed to be talking to her? It just shows how everybody's distracted from Buffy's trauma in life and stuff like that. Even though this party's supposed to be for Buffy, but yeah, they're all about themselves. Mm-hmm. No.
Well, and that's, I think, what I didn't understand the most is, like, I could understand it more if all these events were transpiring at, like, the Bronze and Buffy walked into this kind of thing with the option to leave the energy. But the negative energy came into our house, and I just can't imagine fully going into someone's house and then being mad at them and acting mad at them while I'm at their house.
Yep.
Having a party for them. I don't know. There's just like a certain level of audacity behind it where I'm just like, okay, we get it now. Y'all are mad at, or you know what I mean? But I think, like you were saying in the beginning, we're adults now. Mm-hmm. So I do wonder how I would view this, like if I was their age that they're at in the episode, if we're like in high school still or whatever. I do wonder if I would be like just as heated as them, or if I'd be siding with Buffy, or if my emotions around it would be more extreme. But obviously I'm just like, what the fuck's everybody doing?
Bullshit. It's all bullshit. That's all it is. We do go upstairs one more time to see the mask glowing, and now another dead person in the town at the hospital is flatlining on the doctor's table, and it rises from the dead, taking all of them out and clearly leaving because it's like, I gotta head to the Summers residence. This shit's a pretty cool shot. I noticed for the first time that you actually see in the monitor for the little thing that like measures their heart rate, the heart rate machine. Remember, I had the problem with this in Killed by Death. I couldn't remember what the thing was called. Beep, beep.
Yes.
You were like, a heart monitor? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Machine. But you can actually see the reflection of him attacking all the people and throwing people around the room for just a split second. I was like, that's a pretty cool thing, because they stayed this shot on that after they like panned away over to the screen of that from the bed. It was just a cool little cue that they put in there. Good cinematography, I guess I could say. Just a little cool shot. At the party, Buffy is overhearing people she don't know talking about how they heard the parties for some chick that just got out of rehab, aka this is that guy that we were talking about that's labeled as stoner dude, stoner guy. And I love it too because this motherfucker is just smoking in Buffy's house. Like, did you notice he had, I don't know if he had a cigarette or if he got in a Joyce's stash and he had a blunt roll or a joint, but he had a white paper in his hand and he was just smoking in her fucking living room, talking shit about how she just got out of rehab. He don't even know her clearly. Like I said, nobody here knows Buffy. They're like, oh yeah, we're just going to come to this party because we all got invited. AKA, they just pulled shit out their ass so that way they didn't have to talk to Buffy. But that shit's funny. He's just smoking. I'm like, well, clearly Joyce, if she came in here, like obviously most of the time you would come in and you'd be like, okay, there's no smoking inside my house. Like you need to go outside and do that if you're going to smoke, especially if it's like a cigarette or anything like that. But it's the 90s, so everybody's going to light up wherever. But this motherfucker has audacity. And I thought it was funny too because I wrote Joyce couldn't care less at the moment though because she and Pat are gal palling in the kitchen taking shots of schnapps. So that's the only reason she didn't run out there and be like, do I smell weed? You know?
No, and obviously she's a lightweight.
100%. She's like, I've had schnapps. And then they get into the conversation too where they're discussing how Joyce is doing. And so Pat's just trying to be so supportive of her. Buffy overhears at the wrong fucking time to Joyce telling Pat that she was excited to have Buffy come back, or so she thought. And she also thought that it would make things better, but how in ways it's seemingly almost worse. And I don't know if Buffy had stayed around for 2 more seconds if the conversation would have took a more positive turn. And she's like, you know, but we're dealing with it and maybe it'll be okay. And eventually we'll get through this turmoil, whatever. No, Buffy goes straight up to her room and is on the verge of tears, starts packing a fucking bag like she's going to leave again. And then once again, while she's doing this, the fucking mask is all going crazy yet again. And we see numerous dead people are heading towards their home. People done got up from the grave. And you've got these damn people. And like one of them is a cheerleader. I was like, where did this cheerleader come from? Was she like buried in her cheerleader uniform? Did she get killed somewhere in town tonight by a vampire and was left for dead and not sired? And now she's a dead person. Like they had to put her in there. I would have like, the cheerleader, really? Like it just stood out to me. And I was just like, it bothered me in a way. I'm
it's
like,
what? Just for more questions.
Yes, clearly, because I have them.
Yeah, me too.
But now we see some fucked up shit's happening because they're obviously all moving in. And then we pan back to the house and all the bodies are starting to arrive there. At the library, we find Giles find the page in the book that he missed earlier and realizes what they are dealing with. And he tries to call Buffy's house to tell them what's going on. And unfortunately for him, that stoner guy answers the phone. And since it's so fucking loud, he can't hear Giles. He can actually not hear, like versus the way Willow couldn't hear earlier, her fake hearing. She needed that ear. What is that thing called? A hearing aid? I mean, I'm going to get Willow one for Christmas. Instead of ice cream, she's getting a hearing aid this year.
Instead of raisins.
Instead of raisins, yes. She's got raisin in her ears. That's why she couldn't hear her. That makes sense. She's been stuffing them in there because she's acting childish. You know how kids like to stuff like shit up their nose and in their ears, like any orifice they can find, they trying to clog up. So you got to take them to the hospital, get that shit forced out. That's Willow this episode, childish. And Giles is obviously asking over and over again to speak with Buffy. And then that guy pauses on the phone. He's like, is there a buddy here? Like, I'm don't even know her name. I used to think he was saying bunny, like Bunny, but I had the captions on when I was taking my notes and it says buddy. And I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. But regardless, he's still getting it wrong. He tells Mr. Belvedere on the phone that he has the wrong house and Giles gets hung up on. And then he has to leave the library to head that way because he's like, well, fuck, like, gotta be irritated as shit. And in Buffy's room, we find Willow walking in on Buffy, which I found really interesting. What did Willow go up there for? Was Willow going to the bathroom and just happened to pass Buffy's room? Was she like feeling bad about what she did earlier? And she's like, well, let me go check on Buffy. Because she comes in the room to Buffy packing up and calls her out on leaving again, you know? So I'm like, before we enter in level 3 of my frustration, I'm like, yeah. I was like, what was she doing upstairs? Like, I mean, I know the bathroom's upstairs. I think that's the only bathroom in the house. And it's right across from Buffy's bedroom, but it's like adjacent down the hall, I think, a little bit. I don't really know. But I was like, what is she doing up there? My guess is that she was coming in there to check on Buffy because maybe she saw Buffy like storm out and she's starting to feel a little bit bad because of everything that's about to unfold in here, like get let loose and all that. But at the same time, I don't know. It was like convenient to just get Willow up there.
She had like a sudden realization that she was being an asshole. Maybe. I don't know.
No, she didn't. Because we're going to find out right now.
Then she doubles down on the asshole.
Yes, right now. Buffy tells her that it's not like anyone would mind. And Willow snarks at her, triggering Buffy to ask why is she attacking her. And then she starts crying and she's like, I'm trying. Willow adding, she's like, wow, and it looks so much like giving up. She actually kind of sounds like us in that moment. Being a little jokey when we shouldn't be, a little smart ass and sarcastic. But Buffy says that they were doing just fine without her, it seems, and she's just trying to make it easier on them. Willow starts to get more emotionally upset, telling her that they had no choice in her leaving and did the best that they could. Buffy admitting that she's sorry that she had to leave, but they had no idea what she was going through. Willow confirming that she would like to know, she just needs her to talk. Buffy saying that she tried, but she was avoiding her, and Willow's calling this not being easy, knowing she's going through things, but she is also. The two go on to talk about Willow's side of things.
I know that you were worried about me, but
No, I don't just mean that. I mean my life. You know, I'm having all sorts of... I'm dating. I'm having serious dating with a werewolf. And I'm studying witchcraft and killing vampires. And I didn't have anyone to talk to about all this scary life stuff. And you were my best friend.
Coming to the conclusion that Willow's feeling upset because her best friend left her and that she felt she had no one. And I mean, we start to almost get somewhere here because we get the breakdown of Willow actually crying in front of Buffy along with her. Because I'm just going to say, first off, with the exact moment that Buffy had tears in her eyes, if this was my friend in front of me, I would have been like, hold up. You're crying. Like, what the fuck is wrong? I don't want you to be crying right now. How can I help? Do I need to approach this differently? Am I being too harsh? What am I doing that's making you cry? What are your feelings? You know what I mean? I would just immediate pause, because clearly someone's got emotional problems if they're just going straight. I'm not saying in a bad way. I'm just saying like they're having an upheaval moment where they might feel too much stress on them if they're breaking down. It's not just a little bit of tears because you're sad or upset. Like, she's full on having a meltdown. And that's the moment where Willow like starts to cry along with her and says that whole clip. I think we talked about this more in person, but I know you had texted me earlier in the episode and was like, Willow about to get on my damn nerves. You were already starting to get really irritated with her. And the way I want to chalk some of this up to, because like obviously I'm curious on like what you think Willow's angle is with all of this, but the first bit of the boiling point happens here, and the tension between Buffy and Willow is very palpable. And Willow's obviously been having that dodgy behavior that isn't just like passive aggression or passive aggression, I guess I should say now in my notes. I'm recorrecting everything. Like, I personally do see where it's a result of Willow feeling abandoned and overwhelmed, kind of how she just said, with Buffy's absence. But I also feel like this scene starts to crack open some of the hurt. And whenever it does, both of them hold back, like they're too scared to say the full truth, probably for different reasons, because Buffy's not ready to like say everything that happened with Angel and say that he was cursed again whenever it happened and like tell everything. That's why next episode has to deal with so much of that type of stuff. But we're just left to feel grief and confusion beneath the surface that's just been cracked after this play out, before like Joyce comes in the room. You know what I mean? Like, we're starting to get somewhere, but we're not really getting somewhere. They're just kind of going back and forth. And I know it like gets cut off and stuff, but I'm just like, this conversation in the room could have went so differently. And obviously it still continues to go badly. It's like no one in this whole house can communicate. And it all starts right now.
I know, but it really is because there is so much tension, you know, and I think like when you have so many things that go unspoken without dealing with them right away, and then the time adds on, you almost create this inability to bring it up properly or deal with it properly, and then these emotions get really heightened, so you end up in these situations where Buffy feels so suddenly isolated when you can tell that she expected the opposite response from her friends, like the first time this happened that we saw, where they were like really grateful and relieved and happy that she was back, and now that this is the second time and no one's really gotten down to the bottom of anything, no one's addressed their feelings, no one really even knows still where Buffy was or whatever, and now here we are in her room and she's packing her stuff because she's receiving all this backlash from her friends' inability to communicate. And it's like, you still feel bad for her, you know, because even though obviously she's kind of the root of everyone's tension, or her having gone away was the root of everyone's tension that no one's talking about, you still feel bad for her because it's not her fault that they don't know how to bring that up to her. And she shouldn't be the one to have to go door to door and say, hey, what's wrong with you? Or, hey, are you mad at me? Or, hey, can we have a talk about my leaving or whatever? They're her friends. they're feeling some type of way. She's on the opposite side of the spectrum feeling her own type of way. They don't know what she's been through, you know? So it's like so easy to be in these emotionally charged situations. And I predicted it before they even showed her on the screen packing. I was like, this bee gonna go up to her room and she's gonna start packing all her shit again and get out of there. Because that's like, I think what I would do on Reflex.
Hell yeah, you're like, fuck
like,
it.
You're just getting pushed away by everybody and you already were gone. So it's like, how else do you feel, you know? So it's almost like this unfair way of testing her too, like, oh, we'll just push her away and see if she runs, and then we'll get mad at her even more when she does.
You're like trying, but like you're getting everything back like a negative way. Like your mom's not seemingly happy with you. You're hearing this bullshit downstairs, and then your friends are treating you like shit. Like I would do the exact same thing. Try, but well, fuck it, I'll just leave again. Whatever. I mean, that's really not going to help anything either at the end of the day. But at the same time, it's a
I think
a bold
if nothing
statement,
else.
Like,
if I was her at this point, and even if I didn't or did go up to my room, I don't think it even matters, but I would at least have asked everyone the question, why were you even looking for me then? What were you looking for me for? So that way when I can come home, you can project all of your shit onto me. You know what I mean? Like, that's my question as her. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because especially from Joyce, like you would think that out of all the people in the equation, Joyce would be the one that wouldn't have anything negative to say, aside from always wanting to keep the positive vibes flowing. She's also her fucking mom. I would be unconditionally relieved if that was my child and I had no fucking idea where they were for months, and then they finally show up at home, and that was my greatest wish since the last day I saw them. I don't care about my feelings. I care that you're home.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the unconditional thing a parent should do. So I think that was just like the extra nail in the coffin where Buffy's like, fuck it, I'm going to leave.
Well,
you know,
the part about empathizing like with people's feelings that you just kind of brought up to, bringing it back to Willow in this room, and just like I say it a little bit again later because I kind of have to be a little bit jumpy with my commentary on like bringing it full circle for everybody's argument that they're all raising in different ways, and then as a collective, no one seems to be empathizing with Buffy and what she went through.
No.
Like Willow's over here, and this has validity still, but Willow's in this bedroom trying to talk about you were going through stuff. Well, so was I, and yes, while that's fair, I'm pretty sure the stuff you're going through, whether it's dating a werewolf and doing stuff, it's so minor in comparison to everything that Buffy's dealt with. But they don't know what Buffy's dealt with either. They just know she's skipped town, and they know Angel's possibly not here anymore, and that Akathla is dormant. You know what I mean? They just
is given that, you know, that would be like our equivalent to if you had a partner and they passed away suddenly and somehow it's your fault.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to anticipate anything less out of you than to fucking fuck off for a little while and forget the world exists while you try to get your shit together. No questions asked.
Yeah.
The last thing I'm going to do is be an utmost asshole to you like Willow's being, also because it's like she's forgotten that Buffy had to basically kill her whole own boyfriend.
Yeah.
And that trauma outweighs anything, don't you think? Like,
yeah, no,
I don't give a fuck about what you're doing.
I think it sucks for the scene because obviously, like, this is the one episode so far in the whole series that I just haven't really cared for Willow too much in it. The way she's acting, especially because out of everybody in the group, whether everybody's kind of being mean to Buffy and being a little whatever with her, Willow's like the only one actively kind of being an ignorant person with this whole energy and like basically being rude and standoffish and all of this. But like, I would be interested to see how the rest of this would have played out if they had had that extra 10 minutes to sit in the room quiet while everybody was downstairs and actually have a friend heart because the fact that they were opening up with each other, if they hadn't gotten interrupted at the end of the day, you know. But we don't get that. Getting back into the episode though, meanwhile Giles is in his car on the way to their home, snarking to himself about the mask and how this is unbelievable.
Do you like my mask? Isn't it pretty? It raises the dead. Americans.
Distracted, a man walks in front of his car and he hits him, and he gets out to check on him, realizing, oh fuck, this dude is dead. And he grabs Giles, and other dead people start walking up, and we're like, oh hell, this is the episode where Giles dies. Back at the house, Buffy is telling Willow she missed her a lot, everyone actually, and how she wanted to call every day. Willow's saying that doesn't make it okay. And this is the point where we get very interrupted by Joyce walking into the room and seeing that bag packed on the bed, and the tension and tears between Willow and Buffy. And she's like, what is going on in here? And Willow sadly throws Buffy under the bus. Like they weren't just crying and having a heart to heart. She goes, oh, Buffy's running away again. Like, fuck, no, I would have like, you're supposed to be a friend in this moment. Like normally Willow comes through. Past episode, she would have been like, oh, that's just my bag. I was going to sleep over tonight. You know what I mean? Like, I just brought my bag up here because I was gonna see if we could hang out tonight after the party. And Willow normally would have done that,
I was
right?
just reenacting Buffy when Buffy left.
Oh my God, no. But that's crazy that she does this, and it continues to make everything unfold because it could have just been like, once again, handled in this room a little bit differently. Joy starts lashing out on her to explain herself, but Buffy's becoming an emotional wreck even further and vacates the room, the two following after her. Like, Willow all like, all right, let's go get her, like, out the fucking room. Downstairs, Buffy can't make it out the door when Joyce grabs her to finally talk about this now in front of everyone in the living room, as the music silences immediately. Like, Dingo's Ate My Baby is like, the baby's been eaten, we gotta stop. Because everyone basically tilts their ears to like the Summers women because they go like, we're nosy as fuck, what the hell's going on? And I thought it was funny because during the next bit of shit that starts to unravel, awkwardly people start leaving because it's a vibe killer, and you see a few people exiting the door. They're like, ooh, this is kind of interesting. Like, but this is also that moment where I told you, like, the pressure valve pretty much bursts and all the resentment explodes at once. Joyce and her go back and forth, and I'm gonna put the clip in here just because it's kind of long.
You know what? I don't care. I don't care what your friends think of me, or you for that matter, because you put me through the ringer, Buffy. I mean it. And I've had schnapps. Do you have any idea what it's been like?
Mom, this isn't the
You can't imagine months of not knowing. Not knowing whether you're lying dead in a ditch somewhere or, I don't know, living it up.
But you told me. You're the one who said I should go. You said if I leave this house, don't come back. You found out who I really was, and you couldn't deal. Don't you remember?
Buffy, you didn't give me time. You just dumped this thing on me and you expected me to get it. Well, guess what? Mom's not perfect, okay? I handled it badly. But that doesn't give you the right to punish me by running away.
Punish you. I didn't do this to punish you.
Well, you did.
To me, obviously, this is like the first part of the group attacking Buffy. Do you feel like Joyce was right to confront Buffy the way she did, or do you feel like she kind of crossed a line as a parent by doing this in front of everybody?
I mean, I feel like it's such a typical parent thing to do, because I feel like when you really want to get across to your kid, you do something like that. You know, that's almost like bordering embarrassing them publicly in a way, or at least like in front of their friends. And I don't think, like, conversationally speaking, she obviously did not cross the line. This was bound to happen as a confrontation between the two. The thing that irritated me about it, and obviously we're the only ones who really have true context of this as viewers, and Buffy has her own assumptions about what her mom was doing while she was gone. But when Joyce was exclaiming that she was worried sick and wondering about if Buffy's lied up in a ditch somewhere, I'm just kind of like, but Joyce, instead of sitting around and wondering, why weren't you out looking?
Mm-hmm. Once again, you like bring it back to your arguments from last episode.
I can't with her. So I'm just like, I don't know. Wondering doesn't seem really as productive as actually putting in some legwork here and like looking for your fucking daughter.
She's just sitting at home waiting for her to come back.
I don't know. That's where my brain goes instantly. I feel like even if I'm 17 years old and I'm having this argument with my mom, that is what I would have said. I'm like, okay, well, instead of wondering, you could have been out looking for me, but here you were.
Yeah.
And now that I'm back here where you've been the whole time not lifting a finger looking for me, you're bitching about it. So it's like, do I stay or do I go? You know what I mean? Like, you're not being very clear. First, you told me don't fucking come back if I leave, and not giving me an opportunity to catch a breather so I don't knock your ass out later. You know, so it's kind of like you didn't give me a moment to leave this house, and you said if I walk out the door to never come back, and then I don't. And then when I come back and you seem relieved, I find out you haven't lifted a finger to look for me. You're projecting that onto me now in this argument. And then on top of it, you're trying to make me feel bad for returning.
And having this huge blowout in front of every single person in the room as well, like the most inopportune.
I was just giving it back to her.
Which is fucked up too, because obviously Joyce has that comment where she's like, I've had schnapps, because she's like, I don't care what your friends think of me, because she's like, Mom, like, here's not the place, and she's like, I don't give a fuck. I know. And I thought that was funny, because I was like, parents really don't be caring about people's friends being in there, because they will snatch you up real quick and embarrass you in front of everybody. But I was like, there's a lot of mundane stuff on the line, so maybe Joyce should have, if she wasn't drunk off of her 2 shots or whatever she did in her blunt, Like, maybe she would have been like, okay, this is not the context of conversation we need to have, because there's obviously supernatural elements that could unfold from this conversation about Angel and vampires and all this other stuff and the Slayer. Yeah. And we got all these normal ass kids up in here. They'd be like, what the fuck are we? All these people on drugs like in here? What kind of party are we at? And why didn't we get offered any when we came in the house? But I'm just going to chalk up the energy of Joyce doing what she did as like part of being drunk, and then also, like I said, the parents don't really give a fuck like about embarrassing their kids. But overall, Joyce, I feel like, just had to get out some of the stuff that she was saying, and like obviously we gotta like back and forth with them, and then right at the tail end of kind of like what they're saying to each other, Xander starts to chime in and give his 2 cents on Joyce's pain, because he knows better than anybody for Joyce, because he's all telling Buffy like, you need to shut up and let her talk, like you don't know what you put her through. And Buffy's like, what the fuck, who are you? Like, that's I am at least looking at him. And I like it because whenever he does that, Buffy's calling out and she's like,
great, thanks. Anybody else want to weigh in here?
How about you over there by the dip? And Jonathan's just over there eating Cordelia's
He was
dip.
My favorite.
His little cameo too is the funniest way to insert him in there. Nobody invited Jonathan to this party either because he pees and shit. So, and then Xander goes on to add, what Buffy did was selfish and stupid, and she didn't even try talking to anyone. Her crying to tell him that he has no idea what she went through, what happened to her, or what she was feeling, knowing that there was nothing anyone could do for her, so she chose to deal with it on her own. And he starts snarking about how well that worked out and telling her that you can't just bury stuff, it'll come right back up to get you. I really like that too, because we get the best cutscene transition magic as Giles is with the dead still who is attacking him, and he finally fends them off and gets back in his car keyless because he realizes that they're outside on the ground. He's like, fuck. And then we get to watch Giles hotwire his car and drive off. Clearly Giles knows how to hotwire something. So is this part of the old Ripper energy? Like, was he still in cars along with doing like black magic when he was 17? Like, I need to know, did Ethan Rain and him used to like make out in the cars that they stole? I just need to know. At the house still, Buffy is telling Xander that it's not like she could have went to him of all people, because he made his feelings over Angel very clear. Xander's still not on board with her skipping town as her good choice. Cordy tries to step into Buffy's shoes.
Time out, Xander. Put yourself in Buffy's shoes for just a minute, okay? I'm Buffy, freak of nature, right? Naturally, I pick a freak for a boyfriend. And then he turns into Mr. Killing Spree, which is pretty much my fault.
Cordy! Get out of my shoes.
I'm just trying to help, Buffy.
Willow trying to chime in, and Buffy silencing her, breaking down. She's like, oh my God, everyone's coming at it. And she's like, I can't take this from you too. She's like, I already got enough upstairs with you, Willow, before you threw me under the fucking bus.
I know, right?
Xander hollering at her to let Willow finish. She owes her that. And I was like, okay, so he's done silenced her to let Joyce speak. Now he's over here talking about like, shut up and let Willow talk. I'm like, none of y'all are listening to Buffy though. That's what you're supposed to be doing, is listening to Buffy. You're asking her to talk and tell you about all this shit, but you're not letting her fucking talk. You're just attacking her. Also making her feel pinned in the corner. Everybody's done brought her to this room where there's no exit, and there's people that she don't know all around her, and y'all are all yelling at her. Like, what do you expect besides her breaking down and crying? And then he calls her a fucking idiot, which is a whole ass problem, because they start feuding over his annoyance. Because, you know, Buffy's like, you want to talk about acting like an idiot Nighthawk, which is what actually sounds idiotic, because like, where did that name come from? I don't know. We don't want to talk about it though. And I like it though, because she starts to square up to him in that moment. Buffy actually speaking into existence that Xander is annoying. The first person on the show other than Giles to really get heated with Xander, and I really liked that. And I feel like Xander is the only one of the gang that really has a voice overall, even if he's not using it well, except Willow upstairs with Buffy. But I feel like he's acting really stern with her and basically being very condescending in his conversation and his words. And I personally don't care for it. Like, I get he's trying to make it apparent with what his perspective holds, because he has a perspective too, so that's fair. But so far, sometimes on these sensitive subjects, especially those involving Angel, it tends to get heated, and he gets a specific attitude around it with Buffy. So I just see this as like a continuation of the bullshit from last season, where he doesn't really know how to handle talking to her about this man that he clearly doesn't like, and she knows now 100% that he doesn't fuck with him. I'm done with the nerve of this boy. I'm infinitely fucking done. He withheld major truth from Buffy last season. Obviously, we know that that was the lie that we talked about, and Willow was in the hospital, obviously risking her life to perform that soul restoration spell. And Xander is the one that Buffy trusts to deliver that update. And this is why that moment ties in so much to this, because instead of telling the truth and telling her to kick his ass, that decision directly affected Buffy killing Angel right after his soul was restored. That's why we got into the whole like debate on like if she could have stalled if he had gave her the right information. She could have not had the tragic fucking ending and, you know, not have any other hope but to basically end up killing Angel. And that's what led to her being traumatized, exiled, and isolated at the end of the episode because of Xander, essentially. I mean, obviously it was the whole situation, but Xander changed that whole course of what could have happened that night with that. Agreed. And now he's going to stand here and be a fucking hypocrite by telling her she's not communicating and that she didn't say anything when she left, but he didn't say anything when it actually mattered also, and spared her, once again, like I said, that traumatic moment in her life. So the audacity that he has to sit here and basically act like he's daddy role and like saying like, you need to listen to this person, you need to listen to this person because I know better than you, like what they went through because I was here with them in the thick of this. And like I said, I use the word condescending because that's the way he comes off. He doesn't sound supportive at all. And I'm not trying to hate on Xander in this moment either and stuff like that. Because like I said, he has perspective and he's also heated. Everybody's upset. So, I mean, it's just got that whole festering energy that's blowing up now. But like this is just one of those other moments. This is like in that handful of moments where I'm just like, Xander really annoys me in the series because he doesn't really help keep a level head on situations. He helps make them blow up more. You know?
No, I agree. Yeah.
I guess that's it. That's my rant on Xander. Buffy starts to square up to him, and then Oz steps in to be referee guy. Willow saying, nah, let him go.
Talking about it isn't helping. We might as well try some violence.
Some in-scene transition magic, just as the dead people start to break in through the windows, attacking. That's perfect Buffy writing right there. These writers are so funny. And the line delivery by Allison was really, really funny. But of course, this is exactly what happens because it's like the big jinx. The gang move into defense positions as people try to clear out a zombie breaking the neck of Stoner Guy immediately. And it's really interesting because they all go into action. Like I said, defense positions. She tosses Xander some kind of weapon or something. He's like, I got your back. And everything's just like regularly operating. They weren't just having this huge tensive battle with each other, you know. Now they've got to redirect it towards the zombies and undead that are attacking. They start to barricade the home and Buffy takes on some of the zombies. And I thought it was funny because whenever Joyce starts to like aid her, she's like wondering if they are vampires. And Buffy's like, oh, I don't think so. And Willow tosses her a shard of wood and Buffy stakes it. And she's like, okay, nothing happens.
No, not vampires.
I thought it was funny too because last episode when we were talking about it, like I said earlier, you were like, I think next episode might have to be with a party and maybe some like vampires or something like that. And I made a comment to you back and I was like, oh, there might be vampires. I guess we'll have to stake them and see or something like that. And that's exactly what I was trying to like allude to as part of the scene. Full circle moment. Xander and Cordy take on zombies together in the kitchen while a hiding Pat is taken by a zombie. And I was so excited when she got drugged down the hallway by that bitch. It covers her mouth too and pulls her down the hallway. I'm like, what is she about to get like fucked up by the zombie or like molested in a closet? He's like, come on, I saw Xander and Cordy in one of these closets. I'm about to take you here, Pat.
He's like, come on, I heard something about Nighthawk.
They get some of the zombies out and try to block the door, but they break through again at this point. This house is fucking wrecked, as we were saying earlier. Poor Joyce. Buffy, Willow, and Xander run upstairs together into Joyce's room, but because of course they got to go to Joyce's room where the fucking mask is, so that way this whole next scene, they couldn't go to Buffy's room and barricade. They find Pat in the hallway, also bringing her in there with them, and then they realize that she's dead because Joyce is like, oh no, she is not alive, and Oz and Cordy take shelter in the closet that's downstairs. Zombies are fighting at the door. They're trying to hold shut. Like, this is iconic shot too of everybody trying to push the zombies out the fucking door. They're trying to hold shut, knock Xander back into the wall, and the mask falls off the wall to the floor. It starts lighting up and glowing its red eyes as usual. And Pat's like, oh, okay, cool. I'll open my eyes now and mosey on over here to this damn mask. Downstairs, Cordy and Oz realize that the zombies have all moved upstairs, and it's relatively quiet. Like, you hear a couple of things breaking and stuff, but if those zombies were right upstairs, they're under the staircase in that closet, mind you, and right up the stairways to the right is where Joyce's bedroom is. So if they're pushing the doors and the zombies are right up there at the top of the stairs, you would still be hearing so much more commotion than the quiet, reserved energy that while they're walking around, Cordelia's got that ski stick. I'm just saying. They run into Giles, who is in fact not a zombie.
How do we know it's really you and not zombie Giles?
Cordelia, do stop being tiresome.
That's him.
Giles informs them of the mask and tells them of the zombie demon that possesses it and clearly raises the dead, telling them if one of the zombies puts it on, they become the demon incarnate aka worse than a zombie. Because Cordelia's like, worse than a zombie? And he's like, no fucking shit, bitch. That's what I just said. We get some more cutscene transition magic to the zombies getting in, the gang taking them on, Pat getting up, knocking Joyce out. And I was like, fucking Joyce, you gonna hit Joyce, bitch? Like, she's like, oh, Pat, you're fine. She's like, yeah, your empanadas are gonna be so delicious when we go back downstairs after this to eat them. And nope, because she yagas her ass to the side and puts that mask on. And we get a, I would say, pretty cool transition of the mask like morphing into her face. And then obviously it gives her like way more power than she had before. Well, not Pat, but like than what the zombies have and stuff. We get to see that the mask doesn't just raise the dead. It actually has some like other abilities, aka make everyone fucking blind. Whenever it does look over towards that zombie too, the demon like turns and like starts like bowing to it, like getting scared and shit. And then she's all about to kill Willow, and Buffy stands in the way of her and emits that flash of light that obviously stops them clearing her tracks. It's like a, what do they call that? Whenever you like inject somebody with something that like debilitates them or makes them stop, like a
like paralysis.
That's the word I'm looking for. Basically paralyzes people with a flash of light. And she punches Buffy across the room, turning back to Willow as it flashes again, paralyzing her. Oh, I have the literal word paralyzing in my next sentence. Love that. and then she grabs a hold of her and she's like gonna kill her. She's like, I live, you die. Buffy gets back up and charges Pat as the two crash out of Joyce's second story window and successively break another fucking window in this house, because you know the door to Joyce's room is now fucked up, because it was just downstairs that was fucked up. Now upstairs is getting tore fuck up too. But those two fall into the backyard. Joyce beats down one of the zombies, and I love that too, because she's just like hardcore going in on it as Giles takes on a zombie in the staircase, telling Oz to get outside and tell Buffy the demon's power lies in its eyes, and that's how to defeat it. Buffy out there shielding her eyes and kicking Pat back, picking up the shovel she buried the cat with, the actual cat, not the Pat, as it catches her off guard with another paralyzing flash. I'm so mad I wrote paralyzing all up in my notes and didn't know that word a second ago. I think I was because I was trying to say the word paralysis versus paralyzed. But thankfully, Oz runs out, distracting the demon, flashing Oz instead, and Buffy comes back to focus and calls out, hey, Pat, and shoves the shovel right into her face whenever she turns back around, right into its eyes. And then we get to say our joke again. Instead of her saying, made you look, I think she should have said, you've got something in your eyes. Like the master. Because we haven't done that in a while. But me and you were like laughing our ass off for 3 minutes about that shit the other day. We were like, the master. We'll never let that one go old. It's one of our things. You guys know the things. All the things. The demon disappears in a flash of light, which was pretty cool. Also, the fact that they just had that cool little effect, and that's how they got rid of it, versus like it turned into dust like vampires, or you know, just being a dead body laying on the floor, or maybe the mask falling off or whatever. The zombies it raised also disappear with it. With the threat over, Joyce runs up to hug Buffy downstairs, asking if she's okay, and also if this is a typical day at the office. Everyone in the room comes together, Xander awarding Buffy for her nice moves, and Willow embracing Buffy in a hug. I do gotta mention, I hated Buffy's pink little dress this whole episode, like this whole like mostly at the party. Like I did not vibe with it. I liked her outfits in the beginning of it, but her style has completely changed this season, and you're going to see more of this type of normal girly kind of girl thing, which you've already kind of started to see with this season.
I don't like it.
I'm not a fan of it either. A lot of people tend to like it. I like Buffy when she was wearing all these nudes and like cute outfits with her boots and all this other stuff. Wasn't quite tomboyish either. She's definitely always been kind of more of a girly girl, especially where she comes from, being kind of like a valley girl. But I'm just like, now that we're like have seen how she dressed in season 1 and 2, and now we're starting to see these like floral dresses and these other things that she's wearing, like this pink color just looks very strange on her for some reason. And the fact, like you mentioned whenever we were watching episode 3, how Sarah's hair is already ugly colored, like it's like got more golden hues in it, and you're like, what happened to her hair? And I was like, it's getting all fucked up from Cruel Intentions.
Yeah, I was like, how many times do they bleach her hair so far?
Yeah. But like most of her hair is pulled back this episode in like a twist or something. She's not even wearing really her hair down. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
I did put in my notes about noticing her outfits, that whenever I see Buffy wearing something I don't like, I'm going to start calling it the fashion unwatch, because I wish I could unwatch that.
Oh my God, unsee it. The stuff you wish you didn't see. Back in the day, like I think in season 1, and we really never continued on with it, we would call it the fashion police. Yeah. And I'll put the like one time like the little fucking sound of the alarm or whatever.
That's what's happening right now with her with her fashion change.
Well, maybe whenever if you don't want to see her, you can just ask Pat to come with the mask and paralyze your eyes, so that way you just like are numb, seeing anything, and you get the flashlight in your face, you know?
I'd rather just be blinded by the light.
There you go. Is that Bruno Mars? that sings that? Isn't it Bruno Mars? Ooh, I'm blinded by the light. Oh, that's their song. I should use that song as the thumbnail for this episode instead of like all the.
I was
obviously,
thinking about what is that song?
Blinded by the light. Yeah, I don't know who sings that.
I don't either, but I like that we know it.
Got a couple of options. Okay, well, the next day at school, Giles enters Snyder's office to have a word with him. Snyder sniding if that word's Buffy, then all he's got in return is good and riddance. He must be on his way. He has an appointment with the mayor. Giles, smiling, informs him he cannot keep her out of Sunnydale High, but he lets him know that he could in fact do as such. Giles clarifies that he has no grounds for her expulsion, and also that Buffy is a minor who is entitled to a public education, and his personal dislike does not entitle him to do as such. Snyder obviously cuts him off in that moment. He's like, well, you can take that up with city council. And Giles is threatening him because he's like, I think I'll go all the way to the state Supreme Courts because I got it like that. Like, I work for an elite English council. And then he also talks about him, being powerful in his little small circles, but how he could definitely make life difficult for him. And he also adds that Buffy will be allowed back in. And Snyder doesn't really get the vibes that he's putting down in this moment because he starts smirking and he's like, I'm not very convinced by this. Giles grabs him by the shirt real quick, jacking him up against the filing cabinet with a terrifying smile to ask him,
Would you like me to convince you?
Now, this is the only part that we really didn't talk about in any capacity. Did you absolutely love this?
Yes, of course I did. I love any time that Giles has to be savage and gets to be savage, because especially toward him, because I think that we're all not fans of Principal Snyder. So
except Leah. Whenever we were recording, like, she loves Snyder. She's like, this is me at school. I'm like, oh fuck.
She's like, that's who I aspire to be.
She did say that. That's exactly her direct quote.
No, I love this moment with Giles. I love it with Giles and I love it for Giles, because any time that he gets to like really step out of pocket is just so great, because you can tell that Giles really tries to keep all of his reservations about himself as the proper little Englishman that he is, but just seeing him literally act like, I don't even know, like he literally just channeled his inner biker at a bar attitude, because he just like jacked that man up, and I was like, oh shit.
He says it so calm that it's like, you're like, oh fuck,
you're
like,
scared.
I want to fuck with him, because he's not even being like aggressively angry. He's like smiling in your face.
I would be way more scared of someone if they did that to me and they had like a calm tone in their voice and they were like, okay, well listen, tonight I'm gonna slit your throat and watch you bleed out, and then I'll talk to everyone about it tomorrow. Okay, great, have a good night. If someone talked to me like that, I'd be like, oh shit, I'm about to have to go into witness protection.
Bye, Snyder, you better get in your witness protect. Well, we'll see how that unfolds next episode. In our final scene, Willow and Buffy are actually hanging out because Willow showed up at the Espresso Pump coffee shop, talking about Willow getting more into her witchcraft and practicing magic and it being a challenge. I also love how this is a new little setting, because we've seen Main Street a little bit before, I do believe, but we actually this season start to see Main Street a lot more, and this is the first time that we actually have seen the Espresso Pump coffee shop, and we will continue to see that a little bit in the background as like basically a place to hang out, a place to be every now and again. Not a major hangout spot, but definitely a spot we'll see some scenes take place at. Little breadcrumb, little spoiler. Buffy apologizes again for not being there for Willow, and Willow confesses that she understands and she can forgive it and act like an adult. Apparently not all episode except now, quote unquote. I don't think she's still acting like an adult, Buffy snarks to joke about her enjoying this whole superior weight over Buffy's head bullshit she's got going on, and Willow's like, okay, I'll stop. And then she calls her a runaway and then a quitter, and Buffy doubles down to clap back, calling her a whiner. Then they go back and forth. Buffy's a bailer, Willow's a harpy. Buffy's a delinquent, Willow's a tramp. Buffy's a bad seed, Buffy calling her a witch, and Willow calling her a freak. And I fear that this could go on forever, but at least they appear to be okay now. We fade to black, and here endeth the episode. I am genuinely glad that Willow and Buffy are okay, even if it's not a full-on talk that they've had, and they're just like resetting. I get in the hiccups. I'm trying to fight them. They're resetting the energy between them, and at least they're just like going to hang out. I mean, it's almost better. I know I talked all that crap earlier in a way, but it's almost sometimes better just to like let bygones be bygones and just move on. even if there is stuff to still be talking about, at least if you can make the tension go away, then at least you can share space again together without it feeling awkward and fucking crazy or having blow ups. Like, obviously she's out here with Willow by herself. She's not hanging out with Xander or anybody else. So I'm thinking she's got some negative vibes flowing for them. But this is like the episode that I've said negative vibes flowing the most I've ever said it and shit. And I just hit my knee on my fucking desk and it did not feel good. But just to like reiterate too, just like for the whole episode and basically to sum up before I get into metaphor, I always find instead of a real resolution, obviously the zombie attack interrupts the main problem. And when it forces them to work together, the deeper issues basically get buried. The friendship survives, yes, but not because it's healed. It's because the crisis gave them a way to avoid confronting the pain. And inevitably, it's just deferred for what seemingly might be later or never. And that's kind of frustrating because in a show that often goes so well in its dialogue and creates these great scenes between characters, sometimes it falls short here with just having clarity on what we could get from Buffy and them talking. Even just to say, like, I was in a bad place, like, basically you don't have to even give up what we give up next episode at the end. Like I told you, you know, you already know and whatnot. Like, you could have just gave something to like say like I'm sorry on everybody's part. Be like, I didn't mean for this, like, but I'm also curious if like they had have talked about it and if they continue to talk about it versus it deferring to nothing, if it would have come up about the whole kick his ass thing. If she would have been like, well, you told like Xander that you didn't like Angel either, and she's like, I never said that or something, you know what I mean? Like that could have come up differently. So they're trying to keep a lot of stuff, I guess, on the back burner. I don't know, but it's very frustrating. I mean, if anybody else listening to wants to hear more on this and a deeper take on it, obviously go listen to like Becoming Buffy and their episode for Dead Men's Party, because they really iterate this so beautifully and stop a lot better at some points. But it's just a frustrating moment overall to see. Like, it's a fun episode, sure, but I hate whenever people can't communicate well. That's like my biggest pet peeve as an adult now, and I've even stressed that to you and talked about that to you, and like, you're the only person that I apparently can communicate effectively with, because most other people just don't know how to do it, or they shut down, or like stop being your friend. Okay, well, let's talk about metaphor really quick and themes at play in Dead Man's Party. This episode is a bit divisive amongst fans, and it is doing a lot beneath the surface. At its core, this episode uses the supernatural as a metaphor for emotional repression. That's what I was telling you about the other day. And that's the phrase that I was looking for that I couldn't bring to my attention for some reason. But the cursed Nigerian mask that raises the dead isn't just a creepy piece of decor. It's a symbol, a stand-in for all the feelings Buffy, her mom, her friends have been refusing to deal with. The undead rising from the grave mirrors the way buried emotions, resentment, guilt, and abandonment, disappointment, they all start to bubble up whenever things are left unspoken. Just like the zombies, those feelings don't stay buried for long. Everyone in this episode is avoiding real conversations. Buffy wants things to go back to normal. Her friends and Joyce are hurt but don't know how to say it. And instead of having those hard discussions, they throw a party. That party on the surface is supposed to be a celebration, but it's really just a pressure cooker. It becomes a symbolic space where fake smiles and passive-aggressive comments can only hold for so long before everything boils over. The zombies crashing the party is the literal embodiment of how those ignored emotions come back to haunt them, loud, messy, and impossible to ignore. There's also something really poignant about the way this episode explores the difficulty of reconciliation. Buffy's return isn't met with open arms. Instead, it's complicated. Her friends have moved on without her, and she's still carrying the trauma of everything she went through with Angel. No one is entirely right or wrong here, truly. I mean, if we really want to say it that way. And that's what makes it real. The show is asking, what does it take to forgive, to be forgiven, and how do we move forward when trust has been broken? Even though those are the elements that the show is trying to give us, we don't ever get fucking answers for it. So we just get like little pieces and particles. We can't go off of pen and particles. But I guess this is what happens whenever they're all being the needle and the rest of it's the haystack, as they say. So while this episode does end with the gang literally surviving a zombie attack, it's really about surviving each other, about pushing through the mess of unspoken emotions and finally saying the things that needed to be said, half-assedly, because I'm noticing my notes that this is not accurate. In true Buffy fashion, though, the horror isn't just the monsters, it's the emotional aftermath, and this episode reminds us that pretending everything's fine doesn't make a problem go away. Sometimes it just invites the dead to walk through the front door. That was my fun play at the end, but you know, that's essentially truly what the metaphor we're trying to set up for the episode, that nobody ain't talking about shit, which we've talked about 100 times throughout this, and what the zombies meant. That's what I was telling you whenever I met you. I was like, did you get the metaphor? And you were like, tell me, just in case. I was like, okay, this is it. There it is, all laid out before you and everyone else listening. Do your own research. Pick up Mark Field's book if you want to get some more stuff. I didn't get that from Mark Field's book, but, you know. All right, a few fun facts that I have for the episode. In a cutscene, Joyce humorously vents about Principal Snyder's appearance, describing, and her quote in the script was, "Have you ever noticed his teeth? They're like tiny rodent teeth, horrible gnashing teeth. You want to just pull them out with pliers." Like, I'm happy that was cut, but why was that written for Joyce to potentially say? Like, why would Joyce want to pull somebody's teeth out with pliers? Like, what? I get the rodent.
So random.
So random. Giles is called Mr. Belvedere, which was the title of a sitcom and the name of its main character, a British society butler who takes a job with an American family. So it's a little call to, like, he's the British guy that's hanging around with all these American people, aka his American family, the people that his chosen family. Pat tells Buffy about Joyce reading the novel The Deep End of the Ocean, and I guess the book aggravated her emotional state without Buffy around. And the book tells the story of a suburban family that is torn apart when their youngest son vanishes without a trace. I did want to also just note on the music too, all the band music, Nevermind, Pain, and Sway are 3 songs by 4 Star Mary that were performed by Dingo's Ain't My Baby, but that's the real band 4 Star Mary, and those are the 3 songs that they like clip around when you see them singing. But
I see.
Either way, get into our final slays and get the fuck out of here.
Final slays, Dead Man's Party, get the fuck out of here. It's been almost 2 hours. Like, I mean, for us, I don't know how long this will be once I edit it and stuff, but you know.
And here we were talking about,
all right, we'll do it in 50 minutes.
That was a clear and direct joke. What quotes you got for this episode? I like making you go first these days so I don't steal your quotes.
So I don't even think we covered this, but in the very beginning where Joyce and Buffy are discussing her going out for the night, and she's like, "Will you be slaying?"
We did, because then I had the whole conversation about Tony putting in the clip and like, "Honey Boo."
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, so that one stood out to me first. Obviously, the one I already talked about, which is where Pat was like, "Aren't you a picture?"
Oh God. Fucking her ass made it into your quotes. That's bullshit.
Of course she did. And then I loved Oz talking about the cat, talking about looks dead, smells dead, but it's moving around.
That shit's funny. Oz is the funniest character. The funniest in these awkward moments and like the stuff that you say, and you're like, wow, you're really morbid. I would hang out with you in real life before any of these other people.
He makes awkward funny, at least. And especially that's more appreciated now in this particular episode because of how much awkward tension there was. So anyway, those were my quotes. What about you?
Mine had one from Xander. I like whenever the zombie started like bowing to Pat with the mask on, and he looks to Joyce by the bed and he goes, "Generally speaking, when scary things get scared, not good." Like, very, very funny. I like also where Buffy was running away from zombie Pat and being like, not looking with her eyes covered. She like had her head by her head, and I was like, oh my God. And then I wrote this one in today because I was finishing up a couple of little notes that I wanted to put in here, but I was breezing by and it's right in the same area where you gave your Oz quote. I like whenever Cordy makes the comment, she's like, "It smells like Giles' cat." And he's like, "It's not my cat." So funny. Shining Slayer, who'd you give it to this episode? Willow.
No, obviously not. I think it has to go to Buffy, clearly.
Okay.
I mean, she saved the day technically, and she got shit on the entire time. So, to me, I don't know.
Yeah, she definitely deserves it because she like stuck around. She went up to get her bag and everything and didn't end up leaving. So, I mean, that's kudos to her.
Yeah.
I gave my Shining Slayer to Oz for being referee guy because he was basically the voice of reason every single time something was going on. Like, but also like low-key, he probably shouldn't get Shining Slayer because he's the one that suggested like an actual like he brought onto the table the elements of this being more than a potential party. Like he was like, what kind of party is this, you think? Like, and I'm like, it's not a party, it's a formal dinner. She literally invited you guys over for dinner, and Giles is advocating for that. Like, yes, there's supposed to be 6 of you, not 60. So there must have been like that sign that we saw on the side of the road, 56 instead of 65, you know?
That must have been like that sign we saw that said no trespassing, and we did it anyway.
Definitely. Weekly wigs. So what did you get the Wiggins from this episode?
Well, initially it started off with the dead cat, but then as the episode went on, it became Pat.
For some reason I thought you were going to say Willow.
Pat, aka Cat. So
well, there was a cat and it was a Pat. The cat's name was Pat. Patches. He did say, I think you should call it Patches. Patches. Pat is short for Patches. Wow, this is crazy. I've just had this whole moment.
Pat and
that
Cat.
was also a follow-up to Oz's quote that I like too. He's like, I think you should call it Patches. I'm like, bro, he's not keeping this fucking cat. Like, what are you talking about?
Why though?
Which
because the cat doesn't even have patches.
All the other zombies went poof, disappeared, remember? That means the cat at the library is gone too. I would have kept that dead cat, except I've seen a Pet Cemetery too many times and I definitely ain't doing that. Well, my Wiggins, I put everyone as a group, and I said everyone's invalidation of Buffy's trauma was what was giving me the Wiggins for the episode. Because
yeah. I mean, obviously Willow was up there on the Wiggins, but
she was on the pissing me off, is what that was. It wasn't just
because it's not normal for Willow. I'll let it go this one time. If she ever does it again, though, then she's gonna be my Wiggins.
What's your that Slade moment?
It's got to be the end where Buffy's like, "Hey, Pat, made you look."
There you go. I jokingly wrote down Oz and Cordelia calling the dead cat Giles' cat. I just really like that scene. Obviously, every one of my things had this to do with it, except for the wigs. We could do Slayer predictions, which is totally a false one because we had been watching the other episodes, and I did get Courtney to preemptively guess what this next episode is about, but I'll say it here. We are getting into episode 3, Faith, Hope, and Trick next, and I'll put in the clip where Courtney spoke on what she thought that episode was going to be about, even though technically while we're recording this, she has already seen the episode.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Remember, this is the episode that we're viewing together for a reaction video as well.
I don't know. That one is like so positive for some reason. That is throwing me for a loop. I'm like, what is this going to be like? You know,
she said it's got the word hope in it. It must be positive. Tale? It's the positive vibes flowing episode.
Is it Joyce centric because the positive vibes are flowing?
Nope. I'll breadcrumb you that we have a Joyce centric episode coming up soon.
Well, that doesn't help me for this one.
No, it doesn't.
I'm going to have to do my get out of jail free card for this.
All right, great.
I was way off.
And you were way off.
I don't think I had a guess for that one. I can't remember.
No, but I wanted to have it. So, I mean, at least it's here. We really did do it, and it really was authentic in that moment whenever we recorded it. So, but
that's true.
We came in the knowledge of this episode recording later because, you know, we don't ever do anything the way we're supposed to because we're us. We just show up. We just come. All over the place.
We like to make the rules and break the rules.
Well, thanks to everyone for checking out this episode and hearing us discuss all the things being dealt with when it comes to Buffy returning. I'd like to know how you all feel about the way that Buffy is treated by everyone in this episode. Do you feel like their feelings are valid, or is their reaction selfish? Do you see more of her side or another person's? And if you were one of the Scoobies, how would you have handled Buffy's return? I'm going to tell you, we would have done a lot better because we know how to communicate. So let us know your thoughts, and next week we will meet you all back here as we discuss an episode I have been so excited to get to, and it means a lot to me personally. Everyone have a good week, and we will talk to you next time.
Oh my word, oh, you must be Buffy. Look at you, aren't you a picture? Thank you. Oh, I'm Pat from your mom's book club. I'm sure she mentioned me. Actually, I sort of took it upon myself to look after her while you were, you know, off and away or what have you. And, well, between your situation and reading Deep End of the Ocean, she was just a wreck, you can imagine. Anyway, I'm off. We're making empanadas in my Spanish class tonight. You go be with your mom. You two need to rebond.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Buffy on Revamped. Remember to join us next week for a new episode release as we continue our journey through Sunnydale. We also would like to hear from you, so share your thoughts. Discuss with us your perspectives on this or previous week's episodes by following us on Instagram and sending us a DM at revamped_rewatchpodcast.
Or by emailing us at revampedrewatchpod@gmail.com. Additionally, we will be choosing one of your messages to shout out in an upcoming episode release. And if you happen to love abandoned places but prefer them vampire-free, check out Echoes of Elsewhere, an urban exploration podcast, where I interview urban explorers about the eerie spaces they uncover, Anything from haunted schools, forgotten mansions, and tunnels that probably don't lead to the Hellmouth. From history to mysteries, tips and tricks of the trade, I dive into all things urbex. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next time, the Earth is definitely doomed. This podcast is dedicated to the Buffyverse, to its fans, and my sister, Tiffany Dawn Pearson.